it says preparing, but it's probably like it really is.
Story of my life.
Right?
Preparing. It's all about preparing. How come Koshik doesn't have his camera on?
Right.
But starting without Koshik's camera turned on.
There we go. All right, we're good. What I will do is I'll make it so that anyone who doesn't have their camera on won't be showing.
Okay, good. Am I live?
We're live on
YouTube.
Everyone,
I am not Mr. Sci-Fi, nor am I Mark Zickery. I'm David Bartlett. I work with Mark and Elaine. I'm the head of the production at the Space Command Studios. I'm also the producer of the line producer of Space Command, and also the co-producer and the producer of the visual effects. And I've done a lot of things with them, including the color correction, all sorts of other things. So we'll get a little bit into me a little bit later, but I just want to let you know that's what's happening. So Mr. Sci-Fi can still ask all the questions you want of me as a sci-fi person. I'm kind of a sci-fi person compared to Mark, not so much. But you can also, we can change it a little bit tonight and maybe make it Mr. Movies. So we can ask any kind of questions and see, try and stump David Bartlett. And I'm stumpable, but it's challenging. I've seen a lot of kinds of movies in my day. So we're going to start with a Mr. Sci-Fi question if we have one. Excuse me.
We don't have any questions right now, but we have a couple people checking in. Ziggy and Scott Gamble say hello.
Okay, so let's talk about the table in the Zoom meeting. Mark and Elaine were writers for many years. They had a number of friends that they all were sort of, a little bit bothered by the fact that there wasn't a lot of camaraderie in Hollywood. So they decided to make some, and they got a group together and started the table. It used to be called the Hamptons Table because it started at the Hamptons restaurant in Hollywood, which is now closed, and then was moved to the Valley, and that closed. Now there's no Hamptons anymore, but it was around for a long time. And I got turned on to the table by a friend of mine from an acting class I was a director in for many years, and he thought it was a great thing. So at that time it was at IHOP on Hollywood Boulevard, on Sunset Boulevard. So we went there, and there's about 12 people. Most of them are writers, and they all were just being friendly with each other and offering each other scripts to read and give feedback and notes and just being supportive of each other. And I thought, well, this is pretty great. So I stayed in touch off and on. That was 25 years ago. So now it's been about 8 years since I've been back really pretty much full time. And in that amount of time, I've gotten far more done than I could have done without the table. So I highly recommend it to everyone. So there's a table email that you can get on that I'm also in charge of. I'm picked up a little number of little job titles along the way because of this Zoom situation. And tonight I'm kind of everything, except Adam's obviously helping me to a great degree, as he does. He also does a lot of crowdfunding fulfillment with me and with a woman named Sabrina, who's in Bolivia. I have a lot of long distance people. I have two assistants, one that's physically here and one in the Dominican Republic, and another one. I'll start off this success story tonight with this story of Beta. Beta Arefnia is my assistant that has just left because she couldn't work anymore because of the rules. She could stay in this country if she was a student, but she had to get into a school, but she could not work and get employed. So on the 20th of last month, she had to stop, and of October, she had to stop, and then nothing else was going on. So she said she was doing some different interviews. Could I get her a reference? So I did. She wanted to get into USC School of Cinema master's program. Probably the most difficult program in the world to get into. Only, I think, something like 250 people get allowed each year. So, back up now, 30 years. I'm working at Weddington Productions, who did a lot of sound design for big films, where I worked on Pulp Fiction and Speed and Total Recall and Predator 2 and Point Break and a lot of other cool films. And Speed was won 2 Oscars for sound, and Total Recall got a nomination. So that was great. The guy that I worked with was a guy named Steve Flick, and he was supervising the films. And through politics I won't go into, I didn't get to share the credit with him on Speed as the supervisor, and he won an Oscar without me. So that was a challenging time for me, I admit. But we kept going, and it was fine. So we stopped working with each other, and I started doing my independent films more. So cut back to Beta goes to her interview at USC. She says, "Oh, I did the interview today, and it was really great. And I wanted to tell you about someone who says to say hi. His name is Steve Flick." So it turns out that Steve Flick is now a university professor and in charge of admissions to the USC School of Cinema. So I said, yeah, okay, great. So next time you see him, tell him he owes me an Oscar. So Then what happened was a couple of weeks ago, she called me and she said she got in. So Beta is here. She's going to USC School of Cinema as a master's program. She's going to be there with all the sons and daughters of, and it's a very, very difficult thing to pull off, which she did, and she's going to be great at it. And I'm very happy for her. So later I'm going to pitch Space Command as a place to come and volunteer and also get paid work from. And you'll be working with me. And I love to help people get things like USC School of Cinema. So anyway, that's good for that. Now, do we have any Mr. Sci-Fi?
We do. We've got a bunch now.
Good. So Mr. Sci-Fi tonight, again, is Mr. Movies, because I'm not as sci-fi as Mark is, because I don't think anyone is. But I am pretty current on movies, past, present, and even some futures. So.
Well, I hope you know something about Battlestar Galactica. Because
I happen to know that very much. Yes, I've seen it 3 times. The entire series.
Ziggy asks, what do you think of Battlestar Galactica coming back?
That's an interesting question, because the Battlestar Galactica that was done, I don't know what it was, 10 or 12 years ago or 15 years ago, not the one in the 70s. I like the 70s one too at the time, but the new one is really, it's a pretty amazing piece of television. And the pilot is 3 hours long. It's well worth watching. There's an episode called Razor that's 2 hours long that combines a new Battlestar shows up, and the two of them have to deal with each other. And it's a very interesting scenario of what's happening in the world today, which is what they did. So if you're going to have somebody better playing Starbuck, if you're going to have somebody better playing Adama, the president, Apollo, make a list. I don't know how that's going to go. Now, I would watch it if it was made, and I would enjoy it if it was worth enjoying. I'm pretty unilateral as far as that goes, but it'd be very difficult to say, let's remake Lord of the Rings. Why not? It's a big seller, and time has passed, and we could have a new cast. I just don't see it. But again, I'll give it a chance. I'll definitely watch it and see what they're up to. So, okay. So great. So let's start with Bonnie Janowski. So here's how this works. For those of you who don't know, everyone gets a chance to talk for, a couple minutes, 3 minutes. I chime in with some things if I see it's relevant. If other people have suggestions, they can jump in. We don't have that many people on these Zoom calls, and this usually lasts 3 hours when it's in person. So we go kind of however long we want to, and we try not to get long-winded, which I'm often guilty of myself personally, but we keep it under control, and it's usually a really fun time. So Bonnie, go ahead and hit it. How are you doing?
Okay, Bonnie Janowski, and I'm a composer, songwriter, and all things musical. And right now, next Tuesday is our election at the Musicians Union in LA, and I'm running for re-election, and it's a very interesting election this time. Anyway, you guys most probably not in the union, but so focusing on that, and then working on, let's see, with some composer friends, we've put together a whole couple of holiday albums. So I have 2 pieces on there, one instrumental, one vocal. And let's see, I know there are more things. I did another Christmas song for, there's a director I work with. I score all his films, and he did a Christmas song that he wanted to put out, kind of, well, in a way, sort of it towards advertising his some film con that he's working on. And everything he does, they're film and stage. Well, he does film musicals, but everything's very musical, a lot of dance. He's a tap dancer. And yeah, I'm working on just different original music. 2 films got postponed because of COVID, and hopefully one we hope to jump right back in after COVID in the future is done. Probably other things, but that's what's coming to mind now. And yeah, thank you, David, for running the show today. And Adam,
my pleasure.
Thank you as always.
Okay, very good. Now, didn't you just recently do some kind of symphonic piece or orchestral piece?
I had 2 pieces played on a program that was Sigma Alpha Iota was a music sorority, so it was a concert of all music by women composers. And so I was part of that. And yeah, I had a big orchestral piece and a big band piece that were recordings that were on, and of course on Zoom. And yeah, so I had that, and keep gradually working on to update my website. It kind of,
Which was the next thing I was going to say. Where can we go and see some of your work?
I can put my website and things in the chat. How about that?
Perfect.
So, yep.
Yeah, I've heard some of your music. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'll just say also that I tend to usually almost always do live players. If I'm doing a film score rather than a big, synthesized orchestra, I will use some 7 or 8 players with live musicians, and it adds so much. So, tend to do that.
Great.
That's
awesome.
I've done film, TV, musical theater, a lot of jazz, big band jazz particularly. So, yeah.
Bonnie and Joel also volunteer with Space Command on occasion to do very important jobs where Mark will find exciting furniture and other items, sidewalks in his neighborhood, and put them in his garage. And then Bonnie and Joel will come and bring them to the studio, and then they turn around and become part of the furniture there and part of the sets that we're upcoming shooting very shortly. Those white chairs and that white table you brought over are going to be featured heavily in the Space Command episode we're shooting in a few weeks. So
thanks. Yeah,
here you are.
Big,
we wouldn't have them here if it weren't for them.
Sorry, what was that?
We wouldn't have those here in the studio if it weren't for them.
Yeah, I have a good minivan for carrying drums or keyboard, but mostly I write music now. I don't schlep instruments too often, but glad it's coming in handy for helping Space Command.
That's great. Thank you. So is Joel going to join us here at any point, or?
He went over to a neighbor, so he'll probably be back and say hi. I always say Joel is the real life Sheldon of Big Bang Theory. He's a retired engineer, and he's just, anything comes out of his mouth. He's funny.
That's great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any more Mr. Sci-Fi currently?
Wait, did you say we're shooting
Yes.
next week?
I said
In a few weeks.
In a few weeks.
Ah, I misheard, thankfully.
Loosely defined. We're not shooting next week.
All right. So for our Mr. Sci-Fi or Mr. Movies question, we have one from Scott Baker, not the Space Command Scott Baker, but
right.
Yes,
Got it.
Our frequent commenter Scott Baker, who says, "I have been an anti-corporal punishment activist since I was a child. Can you think of any films which speak to this subject, sci-fi or otherwise?"
Oh boy. Anti-corporal punishment. Boy, that's a specific niche. I can't off the top of my head. I can think of movies where the children have become the aggressors to fight back. There's been a lot of those, especially horror films. I don't know.
True.
Anti-corporal punishment. That's interesting. I mean, you could loosely define any, anti-war, Holocaust, anything along those lines, punishing of people's bodies of any way. But if you're just talking about like spanking children and that sort of thing, I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would fit into that. But let me think about that. That's a challenge. Does anybody else have any ideas about that? Nina does. Hit it, Nina.
There was a TV show and a film called The Spank. It was done in England, I believe it was called. And it was all about corporal punishment in school and in homes. And it was a big deal. I mean, it was I'm looking it up on my other computer right now. It was a big release, and it was a big, there was a lot of controversy about it.
Was it a documentary?
No, it was a production.
Oh.
And it was, I believe it was called The Spank. It was on Hulu for a while. I'll look it up, and I'm looking it up right now because it was really touted as being very controversial.
That's great.
And
Yeah, I think I remember seeing something about that, but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I'm checking it out, The Big Spank, which speaks to me anyway. So.
Very good. Okay, thank
There
you.
you have it. I will say that my grandmother spoke out about against corporal punishment and helped get corporal punishment out of Catholic schools.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
There was also a British TV show about nannies, and they went into from like the 1800s, and they went very deeply into that. I don't remember what it was, but it followed a bunch of nannies through English homes, and it followed that very thing.
That's interesting. All right. Well, maybe someone can come up with something throughout this meeting and then let me know when you find it.
Found a ton of films on Wikipedia. Dote, The Spanking Age, Bouncing Babies. If you look at whoever asked the question, look on Wikipedia because it has an entire list.
There you go, Scott. I would
There
start
you
with
go.
that. Very good. Now, let's go with Carol Field.
Hi, everybody. Christine, it's so nice to see you. Hi, honey. It's so nice to see you all. I'm glad you're here. You always inspire me, and I'm sure I do you. Let's see. What do I have to tell you? Yeah, I went to AFM the other week, American Film Market, and it was fascinating. I met people from all over the world, and it was very interesting because people have asked for my scripts from Lebanon, the Ukraine, Beverly Hills, Florida, Montreal, and that's just some. However, this is real interesting. They're all coming up with this new format of their consultants, and then they will produce your film. So you pay them a little bit, they put it in order, and either get it done or get to people who get to financiers. But that's
a version of something that's been going on for many years in Hollywood. Is taken on different colors, and the problem is that some of it's actually legitimate help, and some of it's just trying to take your money.
And some of it isn't. Yes, so I would never go with someone in the Ukraine or Lebanon who has that business model. Miss Lebanon said she got a PhD in film from a school in not the Sorbonne, but another one in France. I mean, I kind of believe her, but I wasn't born last night. So it was a little disappointing to have all these meetings. I had one today with Montreal, and he said to me, but actually he said to me, I want to take your animated script and send it to my friend in Paris. So that was fun. That was fun. I don't think he wanted anything from my wallet, but all these other people were looking for my wallet. And I was very clear from the gate. I said, I'm an actress and I'm writing right now, and I have a lot of intellectual property. I'm not a bank. And all of them go, oh, no, that's not what I'm interested in. No. And sure enough, that's what most of them were interested in. So be careful of any of that. It was interesting, and I was a little disappointed. I mean, I wanted to say to them, "Are you out of your mind? Do it look like I was born under a turnip yesterday?" But so I kind of let that go. I'll let you know what happens with Mr. Paris.
Sure.
We'll
sure.
see. We'll see. Oh, yeah. So just one last thing. Has anybody two things actually? Has anybody heard of Filmocracy? Anybody know what it is offhand? If so, yell. No. Okay. Also, when they list, if anybody knows, on Stage 32, when they list looking for complete scripts, are they just stealing as a big ripoff, or do you think any of that's legit?
Anytime you submit a script to someone, especially these days, I'd be very careful about sending an electronic copy of someone that they can read and take. Now, one way you can help yourself is to watermark all the pages, but that's still not going to prevent them to transcribing it if they want to take the material from you and steal it or borrow it or whatever they want to call it. If you want to be completely safe, first of all, you have to copyright your script with the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. And then a separate thing you can do to protect your writership is the Writers Guild registration. Now, the Writers Guild registration is not ownership. It is authorship. The copyright is ownership.
Interesting.
So you really need to do both if you want to retain the credit on the film, but the ownership goes to the copyright. Now, with that said, you would then have that in place, and you might even send the receipts of that to the people you're sending the script to, but then people don't really do that. So you can say, okay, if you want, you can sign an NDA. An NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, which means that anything that's given to them cannot be given to anybody else without your permission first. And then there's another thing called a non-circumvention agreement, or an NCA. And that means that they can't take people from you and your world and use them for their own projects without you. So you can have them sign that before you send the script. And if you're copywritten and you sign an NDA and an NCA with them before you give them the script, that's about as far as you can go legally to protect yourself. So, and also legally, the email is a legal paper trail in a court of law. I do know that too. So these are all the things that will help back you up and make sure that you're covered as much as you possibly can be.
Because anybody could put up a post on Stage 32 and say, I'm looking for a David Bartlett type movie. And,
Yes. That's
That's
exactly right.
Also, I've looked into those postings where they
Yes.
say they're looking for certain kinds of scripts.
Yes.
It's a subscription service that they're trying to sell you on, where you pay money and then you can put these scripts in front of people who are looking for them.
But are they really looking for scripts anyways? That's the
Not
I don't think that there are people looking for scripts supposedly, but
but you're not sure if
It's very difficult to judge what their agenda is. Some people might just be trying to get you to click on something so you can be subscribed to an advertising service that you don't want to be on. I mean, they're getting really sophisticated with that stuff now, so it's very hard to say what their agenda is. Unless you want to do a forensic search on them before you reach out to them and find out what you can about their background, which you can do. You really just have to sort of take the leap of faith. And anybody that looks questionable, like, if they say they're going to give you $20 million in African funds, if you give them a bank account, you might want to do that one, but you might not. So I would recommend not doing anything you have a little suspicion about. So get yourself set up legally first, check out the people as best you can, and then make your decisions from there.
Thank you. I'm just going to get a job at Walmart.
Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so does anyone need to leave early? I didn't ask that to begin with. Nina needs to leave early. Okay, Nina, unless we've got any Europeans, you're going to be next. Benjamin Clark is not on camera right now. I'm not sure if he is UK or not. I don't remember. Okay, good. So Nina, I'm sorry. Let's do Mr. Sci-Fi first, if there is one.
there is. We've got a whole bunch lined up.
Oh, good.
Our next one is from Scott Gamble, who says, what is the status of production for Space Command?
Hi, Scott. I can tell you exactly what the status is. We've got a big shoot plan for the spring when the COVID frees up, which is going to be about 45 or 50 pages of the stories from episodes 3 and 4 that we're finishing up shooting. Elaine nicknames it the haunted house sequence. And what it is it's a very large sequence of fights and suspense that happen on an alien spaceship that has all sorts of organic set designs and pieces that we're working on right now. So I'm preparing those set pieces now. We also have what's called a framing story. The framing story is a scene or scenes that happen at the beginning and the ending of an episode that aren't quite about the episode you're on, but they do frame the episode you're about to watch and let it continue on with a continuing story that will keep going into the future episodes. We have about 11 pages of those to film, and we're almost ready to do those with the set designs and construction that we've got going now. So I'm doing a lot of things with hammers and with sheetrock screws and with paint and with construction foam. So if you have any skills in those areas, I'm definitely interested in having people come down to help us do that right now. So there's a shoot coming up on a green screen environment that we're going to do. Mark has a collection of spacesuits. I think he has 9 of them now. And we are going to get people in those spacesuits and have them walk around and sit down and talk at cafes and run through all sorts of different scenarios in front of a green screen environment with the feet. Dave is, making sure that I put the feet in, and we actually need that. So that is going to be with volunteers and with some paid people as well to help with the filming. And people can participate in that. If you want to be in Space Command that way, that's a good way to do it. Because you could end up in any episode after that. It's a collection that we're gathering together. So on top of that, we've also got a test we're going to do in a fog environment. Believe it or not, there are about 4 types of fog that all have different qualities and textures. And we're going to experiment with them with some of the sets we have and some of the lighting to see what it looks like. So we're shooting that soon too. So that's sort of the current status of what's happening. Space Command episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 is essentially finished. Episode 2 has 960 visual effects in it. And we are going great guns on that and getting very close to getting a major chunk of it done. We might even be able to have the episode finished in January. That's where our goal is. So we've got a great visual effects team happening right now. But if you want to join in on that and you have skills in this area, you can do that too. So I hope that that'll be done in January and we can actually ship DVDs of episodes 1 and 2, January, February, somewhere along that timeline. We've got most of the crowdfunding perks have been given out to the people for most of the campaigns. There's still work to do with that. So I can use help with that as well, not just building sets. I'm doing a lot of budgeting right now. We've got projects coming up of different lengths and variety. A lot of it is Space Command. And I love helping people and teaching them. Those of you that heard the USC talk can, remember that one. I do this with all sorts of jobs let me see here. Christine Laurie, Judith Smiley, Koshik, who's off now. Mark to a degree. Mark Ogushevitz to a degree. Ogushevitz to a degree. That's the way I said it the first time, Ogushevitz, because it's the wine. I think it's the wine. Ogushevitz. And Adam Sartain have all benefited from volunteering with me directly, which led to improvements in their careers. So that's just the ones that I see on the screen. So I'm very good with that. I really enjoy doing that. And I've gotten pretty good at it over the years. So I hope that answers your question. We are ongoing all the time and always active moving forward. So there you go. Now let's talk to Nina, right? Nina's next. Very good. Hi, Nina.
I'm unmuting. How do I sound, Adam?
You sound fine.
Okay. I'm
It's
asking
still
because I
a
do
little
open-
bad, but it's much better than it was earlier.
I wonder what that. Thank you, because I do open mics with my laptop, so I need to kind of. Nobody gives me that information. They just deal with whatever I do. Hey everybody. My name's Nina Cruz. I'm trying to learn to do this. It's very uncomfortable, so I got to past it. I'm an actress and a singer, songwriter. I've done a ton of club work, writing, working on being the writer I want to be. And, geez, that was not very good, but I'll work on that. Okay, I've done a few open mics since I saw y'all last, which have turned out pretty good, which made me feel pretty good. I'm in the middle of putting together what I can of a reel, so I know what's missing. So I have a question for all you editors out there. I have a film, a short film that I wrote and directed and did everything for about Charlie Chaplin, and it was a project for somebody else, but it turned out to be a pretty good demo for me. Unfortunately, the guy who shot it does not have the original film work. All I have left is a YouTube video that is on my channel. Is there any way to edit a YouTube video?
Well, the long and the short of that is that you can only work with what you have in front of you. So if that video is the only thing you have, you can make it shorter and rearrange things. You do things with visual effects to stretch things out slightly or whatever, but there really is not much else you can do with that. So you don't have any original camera material that was shot in any form?
Nope, nothing.
That makes it pretty challenging unless Dave Edison or Mark have any better ideas than that. That's kind of where I would end up with that.
Okay.
I spent a lot of time doing projects like that on my own for
Yeah,
years.
you're kind of limited to what you have.
Yeah.
To what you have. And compression too is not good because it's been on YouTube, so now it's been squished down into YouTube. And
Right.
I mean, you can
It's
do
a
things
silent-
like,
it's a silent film, so that's a good thing.
I mean, you can increase the size a little bit. You can sometimes brighten it and adjust contrast, which might make it pop a little more than it would have otherwise. But you're kind of limited. I mean, I did something recently where I had worked on a project, and for the reason behind it are too long and dull to explain, but I added a part to the end that was fine, but they sent the project back as I warned them they might, because the footage wasn't up to quality control standards. So I went back into this project and I re-edited it from the camera footage, replacing every one of the 300 shots.
Oh.
That was fun. You don't have to do that, at least.
No, I'd have to do the film. That's all I could do. Because what I want to do is take parts of it, and that's about it. But
Mark, do you have any ideas?
Well, I was going to ask, are you trying to re-edit it?
yeah.
Okay, so, well, you said you talked to the cinematographer. Did you talk to the editor? Did you talk to the director? Did you reach out to
I am the
everybody?
director. The cinematographer doesn't have the original, and the editor, even the editor doesn't have the original. None of the original footage.
Okay, well, then you, like everybody's saying, you're dealing with what you have, but on YouTube, you can, depending on what they put on YouTube, you might be able to at least get a 1920 by 1080 version of it, which I have a program that sometimes I've been able to up-res to twice that size pretty well, but I always do it before I edit. Like I do an extra output. I bring it into a program that I have and I output it. It'll give me a better up-res. If you have 720 by 480, I've been able to get some pretty good 1920 by 1080, looking stuff. But yeah, you're kind of limited. I'm surprised that the director does not have.
Director.
I am the director.
Oh,
But
you
I,
are the director.
Yeah,
So I'm
I didn't
surprised
get
you
the
don't.
I didn't get the original footage because we removed
Okay.
it. when
So
it
my
happened.
advice to you is, as the director, always make sure you get copies of the original
Yeah.
footage.
We go old too soon and wise too late.
How long ago did they edit it?
A few years ago.
Oh, that's okay. So that's why the
Yeah.
editor and the
Yeah, it's not yesterday, so I can't really go, what the hell? Yeah.
So I can put something in as far as what producing is like in this scenario. Anytime you shoot something, you take the original camera master, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a camcorder, whatever it is that you've got, and you immediately take it from the people on the set while you're on the set and make a copy right away onto a drive, one copy. If you can make 2 copies, that's even better. And you take that drive with those files and the originals away from the set and you make another copy in the editing room. So now there's one living on the system you're editing with. Now you've got 2 backups. And if anything happens like this, like what if the drive crashes?
Yeah.
There's the water damage in your apartment suddenly or whatever. There's a lot of ways that could happen. You don't have any backups of anything, then
Yeah.
you really can't do anything after that. So I know it's kind of hard to say to tell you now, but that's really just a policy you have to deal with when you're, and everything's shooting 4K now. You've got to have drives in the size of terabytes.
Yeah.
You know, you can't mess around with that, and you've got to have the high speed drives because it's even hard to find the 5400 RPM drives anymore. But the 7200 RPM drives are the minimum speed that people have for doing shows now, and you have to spring for the money. You can't just get the cheapo drive off of eBay that's less money because it won't work.
Right.
So that's all basic stuff we all have to deal with right now. So I've also dealt with restoration processes before, like Mark is talking about and Dave's familiar with too. And what you do is you take your film and make it the highest quality you can first. And then you take that new output master that you made and make that a brand new master and then work with it from there.
Ah, got it. Okay.
Confused about something. Who does nobody have a master copy of this film?
Not anymore. No.
Because like I have a master copy of almost anything I've ever worked on. Just
that's the bad luck.
for my reel, I want, I'm an editor. For my reel, I want to have the best version of it on there. So I'm surprised the DP doesn't have just
Quite honestly, this is from my lack of foresight. This is my.
Yeah.
This is on
They
me.
should have been asking for it. I'm really
Absolutely.
shocked.
Yeah.
And when you're done with the master that you've made, you make a copy output at the highest resolution possible, even though it takes more time and money, and keep that archived.
Yeah.
I've had people that don't want to bother with that. They want to go straight to MP4s or straight to YouTube versions or whatever. And they never make the full res master. And all of a sudden, a year later, something happens. Someone wants to buy it.
Yeah.
To show it at a festival projected, and they can't because they never made an original master that was high enough quality to do that with.
Yeah, as an editor, I run into people like what David's talking about. And if they don't want a high res master, I make one for myself so that when I put my reel together, it's the highest res that they can have.
You've got.
Yeah. Okay, good. Anything else, Nina?
Oops.
Yeah.
I could have
Okay. When you download it off of YouTube, and there's a great free program called 4K Video Downloader, and it's free. Just make sure that you download it in the highest res that's there, because YouTube, if you upload it at 1080, it'll then split it off into different
Yeah.
Make sure you get the 1080, and you'll probably be okay. You won't be able to re-edit it, but you'll have your film.
Okay. Thank you,
All
guys.
right, cool.
Thank you
Thanks
all.
a lot, Nina. All right. Any more?
So thanks for the input, guys.
Okay, good night.
Thanks,
Mr. Movie,
Nina.
Mr. Sci-Fi.
Yeah, let's go to Gylinda B, who asks,
Great name.
how do you feel about the movie The Commitments? Great soundtrack there too.
I have not seen The Commitments. I do know
Great
about
movie.
I do know. I've heard it's great. I've heard the music. I love the idea behind that and the band and everything else. I think it's I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I can't contribute too much to that one, I'm afraid. But I am going to check it out because that's on my bucket list of films I missed. Once in a while, for the longest time, I had never seen The Sound of Music. Okay, and I also had not seen. I know, and I had not seen also. And Robert Wise was my first advisor, and he was the director and the producer. So that was kind of a whoops. But I finally did see it, and it's an amazing film. And I saw Gone with the Wind finally after many years of not seeing that. And if you haven't seen Gone with the Wind, you really need to treat yourself to that because it's a very powerful film. The ending of the first act before the intermission is one of the most exciting climaxes of any film of any kind. It's amazing. So anyway, Gone with the Wind, whatever. But no, it's there's a reason it's the highest grossing film with adjusted for inflation of all time. And the highest attended film is a film called, now I'm on a tangent, but it's a film called King of Kings by Cecil B. DeMille. And it is an incredible film. It's an extremely artistic, amazingly shot film. And I highly recommend that too. It's a silent film and it's just an amazing film. So anyway, I'm not sure why I brought that up, but probably to avoid the fact that I haven't seen The Commitments. So with that said, let's move on to Christine Laurie. She'll come on here in just a second. I'm gonna set her up a little bit. Christine Laurie is an extremely dedicated, wonderful person who has helped Space Command many, many times and other projects as well, not just Space Command. She helped out with the Voiceless Roar shoot with Elaine, and it turned out extremely well. I was the cinematographer and the producer on that set, and it's the best lighting I've ever done, in my opinion. And Christine Laurie was a key part of that because she brought the entire art department to that world, and it was really very well done. I remember that little horse you put on the paper towel dispenser in a certain key spot in the frame that really told the story, and I was always very impressed with that. So anyway, enough about me talking about you. How about you?
Yay! Hi, I'm Christine Laurie. I am a personal assistant and I do anything and everything behind the scenes. If it's behind the camera, not in front of the camera, I'm pretty good, although David has put me in front of the camera.
That's right.
So, but you know, if that's what we need, then that's what you do. It's funny about that little horse. I had used it on that set and then used it on another set and then I used it on another set and I wasn't in the room when they packed that set and they broke my horse.
Oh no!
But I glued him back together.
Oh, good for you.
He's a horse, so he's fine. And then, but it kind of is like Elaine and her little statue. I thought, oh, I could have a little horse, and then he broke. And then I'm like, it's okay, he's back together again.
That wasn't the horse that was that wasn't the prop that was broken on my set, was it?
Yeah, that's that little horse. Yeah,
my crew's fault. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
That's no worry. That's too funny. Anyways, I was introduced to the table about 2-3 years ago, and I arrived, and I'm like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know what I want to be. And the concept given to me was, well, start volunteering on all of the people who have these wonderful passion projects where you can discover what you're good at, what you like. And so through these activities, eventually somebody had to put me on IMDb, and the very first thing that went on IMDb was a producer credit. And I'm like, what? So that was fun. And I just keep collecting new titles. It's kind of exciting. There was a story with David on the set design and the whole thing. I was supposed to be part of the set team, and the team dwindled, and David said, well, when you show up tomorrow, you better know what you're doing because you are the set department now. And I'm like, okay. So I quickly hand sketched out what I remembered on graph paper, and I used sticky notes, and I made furniture, and I had a piece of paper and you know, like what to do first, following what David said, because he's a really good mentor that way. And so I arrived, and I'm like, this is what we're going to do. And David took away my book, and he went to show Mark and Elaine. This is what she came up with in the middle of the night, because I didn't have a computer or a printer to be able to do anything. I had to do it by hand. So that was really fun.
Yeah, for the record, I didn't say you better be ready. I said, we don't have any more art department, and you're now the production designer.
Yeah, you're like, this is it. You're in charge. I'm like, okay. So I feel very blessed. I just watched a fellow table member's movie. It was $5, and I thought, I have $5. And so I got to see the Guinier family's Rekindling Christmas.
Oh, which I produced.
and
One of the producers.
You know, I cried. And
that's a tearjerker movie. Now, that movie was just finished by James Guinier, who's a table member, and he's a producer in the Producers Guild, and it was his first film he directed. So if you guys want to check that out, it's well worthwhile. It's a definite tearjerker. If you like those really, you know, emotional Christmas movies where you can guarantee a happy ending, that's the one to watch.
Yes, definitely a lovely movie. Oh, and I love
Spoiler alert.
A Christmas movie with a bad ending. One time that happened. That film with Emilia Clarke, and it was a colossal bomb. It almost destroyed her film career because of that. Who would make a movie about someone dying of cancer twice at Christmas? Unbelievable.
Crazy.
I usually only watch Christmas movies with Santa Claus in them, or Die Hard, but
There's actually a foreign film that I'm going to say it's Dutch, but that may not be correct, but it's a foreign film about Santa Claus, and Santa Claus dies at the end, and I was horrified.
Oh, geez.
Horrified. I will have to find it for you, David, because
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah.
But it's foreign. You have to actually read the subtitles. So there's that. And so one of the exciting things is that I have the internet at home and I can Zoom. And so these are skills that I did not previously have. And this is my very, very first iPhone. I have an iPhone now. It's a S6, which apparently, according to my millennial daughter, is so old. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. But there you go. One of the other reasons I came tonight is because I have a guest named Matt. He's somewhere over there, Matt Rodriguez. And I met Matt at on a set, and he had this incredible voice. Like when you close your eyes and listen to him talk, and it turns out he's a voiceover artist.
Oh.
I thought, well, we need that. And so I definitely have sent him a little message that says, talk to David about volunteering the Space Command, because then you'll get to know a little bit more about the table. So it's not only like the small group of, was this 10, 20 people, it's thousands of people in an email group. It's interstate, it's bi-coastal, it's international at this point. And everybody is at a different level. And it's exactly what you guys said in the beginning, which is, it's camaraderie. It's, if I've had a bad week, then, I can come and be supported. If I've had a great week, then someone else can hear and be inspired. If you have an ask, you can share that. And if you have a big dream, this is a place that your dream can come true, whatever that is the direction of. So I'm very thankful for this group.
Well, I can say from my viewpoint that you are looking right now the best and happiest I've ever seen you.
I have makeup on tonight too.
Wow.
I know, crazy.
Maybe I should try that. Very good.
Do your makeup, David.
That's awesome. Do you need anything?
So as we head into the new year, the volunteering for Sundance fell through. They need no more volunteers. So I have that space open, and I'm shifting from what I was doing. So I'm open for a new personal assistant opportunity.
Okay. Very good. Definitely shoot that out to the table email.
Thank you.
If you need a letter, let me know.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. All right, Adam, any more Mr. Sci-Fi, Mr. Movie, whatever?
Let's go to Bob Rich, who says, I've seen amazing sophistication in today's video games with animation as impressive as Pixar and Disney. How can we pursue work in video games? Books, schools, career strategies you suggest?
Well, you need to get into that world. That's a completely different world than cinema or television or streaming or whatever. Obviously, live productions aren't going to help you there either. These are obvious statements. You'd be surprised how many rabbit holes people can go down and try to get somewhere. I say go straight for it. I would say that you should pick the best video game that you love the most and admire the most, and look up all the credits on there and reach out to every single person on the credits until somebody responds. And sooner or later, someone will. The video game industry, as I understand it, is really, it's a very, it's filled with all sorts of people that are into that niche world. And, we would say the geeks, there are sci-fi geeks, there are video game geeks. So go to the conventions that the video game people go to and visit those booths and meet those people. Just network the hell out of it. The video game industry, as I understand it, has 3 times the income each year as the film industry. So that's a lot of money. And there's a lot of people involved with it. So I would recommend just doing that. Outflowing to everyone you possibly can of the shows that you admire, and you'll get word back from some and start to develop some communication with people that will lead you in the right direction, and just keep your nose to the grind with that target. It's like, well, why would I go to the biggest show? Well, the biggest show is where you want to be. Why would you go anywhere else? Anywhere else is a via to the big show. So start with that. I've always operated that way, and I've done pretty well with it. So anyway, that's my recommendation. Sorry, I can't give you the name of a guy to call, but that's not my field. All right, good. So let's go to, should I tell, I have a couple of stories, and two of them are very short. Actually, I just told you the beta story. Should I tell you one of the stories? So every time I do the table, Mark says, let's hear a story you haven't heard before. So now I want to do that every time if I can, and I'm doing pretty well. So I worked with Patrick Swayze once, and his wife, Lisa Niemi, and I was being interviewed to be the mixer of his film that he was doing with her about dance. And my boss at the time, John Dunn, had a meeting with the four of us, and we were sitting outside underneath those tables with the umbrellas and those lucite chairs that stack up. And we're all there relaxed and talking, and it's very nice conversation, goes on for about 10 minutes. And so Patrick turns to me and says, so you've seen the film, what would you do with the film? And I said, what? And before I could speak, all four legs of my chair flipped out and collapsed on the ground, and I was on my butt, rolling back on the ground in front of them, horrified. So I didn't know what to do, so I stood up and I did one of those, nutty come and each things where she turns like this, and took applause for it. And Patrick said, that's why we got the film, because I could recover from something like that and have such an aplomb about it. That's who he wanted. So there's another method of getting a film. All right, so with that said, let's go to Dave Edison.
Hello, one and all. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. We had just my wife and I. We very nice, very quiet, and one of us, not me, is a vegetarian. So I got most of the turkey. Hope you're doing well. It's just been a busy week as usual. Space Command is going full tilt. We're getting effects from the VFX people. I'm looking up because there's a screen up here that I'm working on. We're getting effects from the video from the VFX people. We are getting graphics from Tahani Farr, who did our comic book, the Space Command comic book, and they're being the new color shots. So we have them in black and white as roughs, are being now added to the animatic for the radio play, which is called, give me a second, I'll get this right, United Planet. Is that right? Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, I keep saying Untitled Plant, but it just, you can understand the mistake.
It doesn't have the same ring.
Once again?
Untitled doesn't have the same ring to it.
Yeah, I suppose not. Anyway, so that's coming along. It's just really one piece at a time on that. Other aspects of the film, I just sent some plates to some shots to David for color correction, so he can send them on to the VFX people. I mean, it's a fairly well-oiled machine for a relatively small machine. So
yeah, it's really cranking out a lot of material right now, which is nice.
Yeah, so we're moving forward. And David Rakelin has sent us some music tracks, some cues to go in to the second hour that we're getting ready to release. So moving forward, one step at a time. As far as we talked about Christmas songs, I do have a Christmas song that's on YouTube if you'd like to hear it. It's not the one by the Earps, but there's a song called I Can't Wait for Christmas to Be Over, sung by Heather Henderson, written by myself and Bob Sprayberry, who's just a terrific guy and a terrific musician and composer I've known for a long time. He's been the musical director of Rent at the Hollywood Bowl and in the touring company. So listen to I Can't Wait for Christmas to Be Over if you kind of get tired of having music in the stores and just a deluge of commercialism. This might be the song for you, and for other reasons, this might be the book for you. I'm getting applause from Judith Smiley. Thank you. Oh, and from Lydia. The man with the list. If you go to YouTube and type in search man list picture, it'll come right up for you. It's I've animated it and narrated it for you, so you can watch it without paying a penny. So I guess that's about it for now. We're moving forward, and hopefully we'll have part 2 for you good people sooner than later. Not much sooner than later, but sooner than later.
Very good. Now, is there anything you need?
Nah, we're all right. We're just moving forward. I need 20 minutes a day to get on my bicycle, and that's what I've been doing. So.
All right, very good. Well, you're on your own there. Thanks a lot.
Now, one thing: are we having a Christmas is on a Thursday? That means New Year's is on a New Year's Eve is on a Thursday. Since people are not going to be going to the traditional parties, will we be having a table meeting on New Year's Eve? We don't have to answer now, just putting it on the table.
That's a marked question,
so to speak.
New Year's Eve is a maybe. Christmas is definitely no. Yeah. We'll ask Mark and see what he says. What do you guys think? Let's take a survey right now. How many people would want to watch on New Year's Eve? Raise your hands. New Year's Eve. Maybe.
I'd be here.
Yes,
I got nothing else to do.
Okay, well, we'll run it by him, and we'll do it.
All right, so I just wanted to put that out in the air for the people on Mr. Sci-Fi. We might be here on New Year's Eve. Anyway,
great.
Stay well.
Now, a little membership, push right now. With that said, the Mr. Sci-Fi people that come all the time, you can become table members. You get a special free ride into the table, which doesn't cost anything anyway. And because you've been Mr. Sci-Fi viewers, you can become table members and be on and talk directly and get on the email and all of that. So if you're interested in doing that, you can reach out to me. And Adam's going to put my email in the chat. Oh, that's not going to help you guys. My email is davefilms@hotmail.com. DAVEFILMS@hotmail.com. And just write to me and say that you want to get involved with this, and we'll put you on the list and get you links and everything else. So very good. Thank you, Dave Edison. Now, do we have any Mr. Sci-Fi, Mr. Movie questions? Adam.
Sorry, hold on. I actually did put it in the chat.
Good. Okay. Looking for questions, if you have any.
Yeah, let's go to. I have to scroll back.
Give me a good question, a good movie question. And yes, I have seen The Sound of Music.
Oh, how about this one? We've got a question from Arkansas Big Dog Hensley.
Okay, good.
Who says, I was wondering, how do you decide on lighting? Just comes from experience?
Ooh, I got a good answer to that. That's a real long answer if you ask me. I'm going to keep it short because I'm a cinematographer and I love lighting, and I'm a director and I love directing cinematographers. So every choice that goes into any film in any category always comes from the story. What is the story and what is being told in the story? You want to take a lighting example. You can say a story is told by a certain kind of lighting. That's true. You can also go against the type of lighting. In the case of like a horror film, for example, where horror films love to create suspense and then not scare you. And you turn around and you just think everything is fine. It's a very normal lighting. And all of a sudden that's when you get scared. So it can go against itself and work for you too. The inspirations that people often have are painters. Painters, especially the Renaissance and whatnot, throughout those few hundred years, specialized in capturing the light of a room and putting it into paint. And they got so good at it that they look like you were there. I mean, they're really amazing. So you can study the Rembrandt lighting styles and the Vermeer lighting styles. Those are two of the biggest ones. And get an idea now, and you can look at a film like Apocalypse Now, and you can look at a Rembrandt painting and say, okay, well, there you go. So study lighting in real life is another one. So what's the scene that you're going to do in your film? Let's say you're going to do a scene in your film with a family at a dinner table, and there becomes a big fight. So the next time you're at the family dinner table and you see a fight coming, look at what the lighting is. See if you like it. Is this appropriate for your film? So I also get inspired by life. And I take lighting from life. I take pictures all the time of lighting styles and lighting scenarios. The other night I was watching Minority Report by Steven Spielberg and Tom Cruise. And I hadn't really watched. Emmanuel Lubezki is the DP of that film. I didn't really watch it for that reason at the time, but now enough years have passed and I've done enough of my own lighting, I'll watch it again, and it's a magnificently lit film. I mean, it's remarkable. And they do certain things with it that create certain effects, and it's extremely consistent throughout the film, and it's very powerful. So I get inspired by other films too. So there's photography. I look at photography books, and I look at all the history of photography that I can find. And I find things from everyone from Edward Curtis, who shot Native Americans portraits, to Ansel Adams, who shot portraits in, you know, the environments of the national parks and whatnot. He was famous for that. To abstract. I love painters like Salvador Dali is one of my favorites. I love surrealism. And, you know, you just see, okay, what's the story that's being told here? Is this a science fiction story about aliens that land? Well, that's going to maybe head you in this sort of Close Encounters area, because that's all about that, the mystery of what's going on there and how that happens. So I don't know if it's really answering your question directly that simply, because it's a very, very large subject. So what you can do is you can get a list of all the films that have won an Academy Award for Best Cinematography, and you can start watching them and see if you can find out why they won those awards, or why there might be some interest of you to then see if you can get that into your film. So that's kind of, that's my speech about that. But the bottom line is always about how to tell the story the best. And that's the cinematographer's world and the director's world. So I hope that answers your question. So now let's go to Judith Smiley.
Hi, guys. It's really nice to see everybody. Christine, you look fabulous. I haven't seen you in such a long time. I miss you. I miss everybody. It's fucking pandemic.
Easy family show.
Easy family show. I would love to watch Christmas movies, but I can't. I'm diabetic. So anyway, I have been just getting over my cat. That really hurt. And but I'm getting back on my feet. I'm getting ready for my demo. I'll send the scripts out tonight, David. David has very kindly agreed to direct me. Yay!
You
So
gave
I'm
the
gonna
kitty, Judith.
Huh?
You gave the kitty a good life.
I did give the kitty a good life, and I gave her a good death too, because she died the way she wanted to, with me in bed and a smile on her face, watching Facebook. She loved Facebook. I used to point things out to her, and she used to smile.
You know,
So-
you might want to offer that to people.
Yeah, I'll be a doula. Thank you. But I'm looking for a puppy now. I would love a Sheltie, or a Collie, or a standard poodle.
Did you talk to Gabby?
You didn't send me the email.
I did.
Oh, you might be able to. I know you might be
Okay.
able to pick up a couple of terriers.
No,
No,
I already have a
no.
couple of terriers. I have the
No.
terrier Reese right here.
Those are Mark
Okay.
and Elaine's dogs, and they're going to
Yeah.
keep them.
I
So,
have them till Saturday. Anyway,
when we're done, call me, and I'll hook you up with Gabby. Gabby is my
Okay.
assistant, and she just sent me. She thinks I should get a dog, so she's been sending me pictures of dogs. So she knows a couple of sources of them that are really they're the rescues. They're taken care of. They have their shots, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really
exactly.
great source.
I don't want to get them from the computer because you don't know where they've been.
It's not. No, it's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Does Rudy want to say hi?
Rudy, here's Rudy.
David, if you get a dog, you have to take it out for a walk.
Huh?
It said if David gets a dog, he'll have to take it out for a walk.
Probably
Well,
more
he could
than
take
one.
he could take it with him to the set and
They
walk
could
it
hang out in
there.
the studio and have a great time there. I've been thinking of it. I would always get two, by the way. Two, so when you're not there, they can keep each other company. I've had that before.
Yeah.
I've had two dogs before. It's definitely the way to go. One dog is a little tough.
Possibly. I don't think I can handle two.
Yeah.
Well, we have to. I'll have the dog and then I have me. I'm the bitch. So, anyway, I'm getting my my voiceover demo. I have one more thing that I want to add to it, and then I'm going to get it out to everybody. I have my book demo. I want to get rid of one of the spots there and put in something from Magic Time, because I love them. The words are so lush. And get that out. I'm just getting back on my feet again. It really, the cat really, it was months. It wasn't just the week. She was so sick for months and months. Anyway, be that as it may, onward and upward. David, I'll be able to volunteer next week once they're gone.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
I would love to do that. What else? That's about it. I've just been trying to get back on my feet again. Her spirit is still here. The dogs still run after her and bark at her, which leads me to believe that her spirit is still here.
You told me something today that I loved. You said that you looked at your cat and you said, "Do you want me to go take care of this and stop your pain?" And the cat glared at her and was like, "No."
That's exactly what she did. And I said, "Do you want to just go with me watching Facebook?" And she nodded her head. She was a very special pussycat. She really was. We had such a strong bond. But now I think I want a puppy.
Well, you look good.
I'm very good.
Puppies are cool. Puppies are awesome.
I love puppies.
You want to get them
I would love a shelter.
Get them if their house broken. That's kind of better. But anyway.
Well, I'm a really good trainer. I really am.
Okay.
My cousin Nessa calls me the dog whisperer.
There you
which
go.
I am, because I've handled all kinds of difficult animals, but I'm really enamored of a Sheltie. My dog Samba was a Sheltie, and ask Nina. He was a genius. He was an absolute genius.
Yeah. Okay.
So either a puppy, a collie, or a standard poodle.
Got it. So
that's what I'm looking for. But I need to get back to work now.
Great.
So that's what I have to do.
To plug some people that I admire, there's a group called Hope for Paws. It's on YouTube.
Oh, I know. They're on Facebook all the time.
They're animal rescue, and this guy is literally the dog whisperer. It's amazing. He shoots the video in one hand and catches the dogs in the other hand.
I know. I watch him on Facebook. That's one of the ones that Cleo just loved.
Yeah, it's amazing. So, all right, good. Anything else, Judith?
Nothing much. Nothing much I need. I just need to get myself back together again emotionally. It just took a little bit out of me. I've had a couple rotten months. But
and thanks for turning your light on.
Huh? Oh yeah. Actually, I'm moving this back into my bedroom because I want to do voiceovers, and the dining room, it's got tiles, very live, and my bedroom has carpet.
Yeah, we don't.
And curtains, so it's dead. Oh, is my bedroom dead? We won't talk about that.
Okay, okay, here we go. All right, thanks, Judith.
Goodbye.
Bye. So, another question, Aruni?
Yeah, let's go to Ziggy has another question. Interesting one. What do you think about Amazon already deciding to cancel The Expanse?
I don't understand that. It's a hit show. I've heard it's a great show. Mark Ferguson and these are friends of Mark's and Elaine's. I've met them myself. I mean, these decisions that are made, it's very difficult to say. I don't know if I'd want to be Netflix or Amazon right now, because I'll tell you, they're at the top of a very lofty pyramid, and sooner or later things are going to shift out from under them, and they're going to have to really do some dancing. So I don't envy that. Why they would make a decision like that is beyond me, frankly. There's so many algorithms and reasons why, and marketing and all that kind of stuff that we have no awareness of, that it's very difficult to say. They could have just upset the wrong person at the wrong time too. It's really hard to say, but it was very unexpected, that's for sure, because they just picked it up again, right? I don't know. Anyway, the stock market's up, COVID's around the corner, being finished. Make a list of the reasons why they can't use finance as an excuse or a reason. So anyway, there you go. I don't really know. That's a good question, though. Now let's go to Matthew Rodriguez. How are you?
Hi there.
Great.
I'm doing pretty well. I'm happy to be here. I'm the Matt from that Christine invited, and I guess a little bit about myself is that I am a voiceover artist. I haven't done anything big per se, and I unfortunately don't have any IMDb credits yet. But I've done just small student stuff, and as well as recreations of different scenes and things like that. Like I've done in the ending scene of the first Transformer movie with some friends. I did the intro for Beauty and the Beast. I did a re-recording of that, and yeah, right now I'm actually getting ready to redo a full voiceover reel, and yeah, things seem to be getting a little bit interesting for me. So we're gonna see how all that pans out.
Very good. Is it Matt or Matthew?
Either one is fine, but if you're very much comfortable with me, yeah, you can call me Matt.
Okay, Matt. So I can solve the IMDb problem if you just want to be there as a presence. I can't help you with the voiceover of Space Command, certainly not at this point. But if you come down and volunteer and work with us and stuff, I can work out a screen credit. I do this all the time with people. I think it's it took me 3 feature films to get a screen credit at a company called New World Pictures, where you were supposed to work there because they wouldn't pay you much because you would get a screen credit. So I understand what that's like, and it made a big difference to me. And it was in the art department actually the first time.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah, and the production designer of one of the films I worked on there was Jim Cameron, and his fiance at the time was Galen Hurd. So, you know, you never know where these things can come from. And now I'm doing sets on Space Command all these years later. So we can look into that if you'd like. But as far as the voiceovers goes, you know, Judith is an expert voiceover artist and had a company doing that for many years. And Howard Benjamin, another person who's a long time table member, is also a professional voiceover artist. And Adam Sartain has done a lot of voiceover, especially in the last couple of years. So they're around. I was talking about this the other day. People say that I have a great voice and I should be a voiceover artist or a DJ. You know, and I hear myself recorded and played back, and it's like, wow, I don't like it at all. But everyone else seems to think it's good. So maybe, you know, listen to them, because you've certainly got a fan with Christine Laurie, and follow your dream. You know, you might go down side roads along the way, but keep your eye on the prize and keep going forwards towards that.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely will.
I will ask, because voiceover is a huge sea of things.
Oh,
is
yeah.
there a particular genre of voiceover that you're drawn to?
I would like to, because I'm an actor as well, and I always loved cartoons, and so honestly, to be able to work in things like hand-drawn animation, and whether it be just stuff like the Animaniacs or Family Guy, or even just like anime or things like that, that was the stuff that I watched as a kid. And so I would definitely want to be able to entertain the next generation of voiceovers, saying like, hey, I was in your position and it's okay to dream of being in my position now. Like, this is the cool stuff you can do. And just by, you know, having that drive and everything to continue on. I mean, I'm right now, I'm in the same issue with as Miss Judith, where I'm recording out of my closet right now on a $150 mic, but I am able to actually, like, I've learned a lot already. I've gone to school for this kind of thing. So even though I've got a relatively cheap mic, that doesn't mean that it can't still make it sound good, because I'm also an audio engineer as well. And I know how to treat a room, or indeed just a closet, to make it sound professional.
Yeah.
And so just doing all these different things, I'm just ready to make that jump now.
Have you ever heard of a guy named James Sloyan?
James Sloyan. It rings a bell, but I can't put my finger on it.
You ever see the movie The Sting? He was the guy that gets stung in the opening of the film. But years later, I was in acting class with him. I was a director in class for many years.
Mm-hmm.
He is the voice of the Lexus commercials. Okay.
Oh.
And he has a studio that he built in his home, just like what you're talking about. And he was making something like $700,000 a year. And they would give him and his 4 other family members a free car every year.
Wow.
So home studios are fine.
Yeah.
Matt,
It's, you know, the people and getting the work back to them when they need it, and making changes and being a good person and a happy person to work with. That's where it's at. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Matt,
it's, oh, sorry, Judith, go
no,
ahead.
if you need, sometimes when you're doing your demo, for me, I need direction, okay? I'm good at self-directing, but if I'm doing a demo, I need direction. There's a studio I work with, which is very inexpensive. It's called Voice Tracks West. It's in Studio City. The guy doesn't charge much, and I've known him for years. And
I vouch for them. They're great.
He is absolutely wonderful. He's got great ears. Remember something, I grew up in a recording studio. My ex-husband and I had a recording studio for 22 years. Okay, I used to be Miss Studio Voiceover, or Mrs. But he is absolutely phenomenal, and he'll give you a rate.
All right. Yeah. I'll.
Yeah. Call him. Tell him Tell him I recommended him. I don't go anywhere else to do my voiceovers, to do my, it's okay to do audition in your home studio, but when you want a demo, it's like your pictures. It's got to be the best it can be. And so you need a pro to direct you.
Okay.
And I've been in the business for 25 years, but I still need someone to direct.
So
also I'd highly recommend because you want to get into animation, I would do an animation only demo. Don't mix in commercials or book readings or whatever, just only do animation, and try to do new voices. Don't mimic voices that are out there already, because they already have those people.
Yeah, that was the mistake that I made initially when I was still learning how to do it, and so I ended up doing just a bunch of mimicry. And
I made that mistake too.
Yeah, and it's just, for some reason, even though I had learned so much in school about it in college, no one told me they don't want people who can mimic. They want somebody new. In which case, yeah, so that was a good couple weeks that were I'm not going to say wasted, because I still got tracks out of it,
right?
But I learned, and I got some tracks out of it. But at the same time, like this week and next week, I'll be just recording some just home stuff for auditions and things like that. But yes, that's something that I also recently learned, is that I should do a commercial one, which is definitely something that I want to do as well as the sort of character demo too. So
yes,
I'm gonna have my hands full for this next month, I'm sure.
It's a lot of time.
Are you
sorry,
one more thing. Are you on Actors Access?
I am on Actors Access. That's something that I do go and look at a lot. I'm also on voiceover.com and Voices123.
Yeah.
There's Eve.
Oh, there's Eve.
There's Eve.
That's one of Mark Mullane's dogs. Thanks, Judith.
The lick monsters.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
That's enough for Eve. There we go.
There we go.
So I was going to say, I have one piece of advice for everyone, and this goes for you especially right now. I heard the last words of John Huston, who was a famous director and writer and amazing icon of cinema, and his last words were, "Don't let the bastards get you down." So you just brush all that aside, like water off a duck's back, and keep going forward exactly where you want to go, and you will get there. Just don't stop. All right, good. Thanks very much. Now let's do another question if we have one.
All right, let's go to I got so excited about another voice artist, I didn't look at the next question. Let's get to, okay. Arkansas Big Dog Hensley says, what do you all think about a one-man play?
Well, there are one-man plays versus a monologue, like Spalding Gray or something, or does it matter? I mean, there are one-man shows and one-woman shows that have been spectacular, and they actually translate to the camera. Sometimes, well, they're usually designed for theater. Spalding Gray was a monologuist, and he would do these amazingly entertaining monologues, and he did a film called Swimming to Cambodia, because he was in the movie The Killing Fields. And the story tells about shooting in Killing Fields, and what happened afterwards is worth it alone. But it was directed by Steven Soderbergh, because Soderbergh was a big fan of Spalding Gray's, and they got together and did a film. So I'm a big fan of those. Eric Bogosian's another one, directed by what was the film he did that was directed by Oliver Stone?
Talk Radio.
Talk Radio. Okay, now that is a remarkable film. One person show. Fleabag started out as a one-woman show. It's not quite that now, of course, but you know, I would love to have seen that live. How much fun would that be? You know, she turns and breaks the fourth wall and comes back to a conversation with herself. I mean, that sounds really entertaining to me. So I'm a big fan of all of it. So does anyone else have anything to say about that? One-man shows, one-woman shows?
Just they need to see Talk Radio. It's one of Oliver Stone's best films.
Yeah, it's a tremendous film. And so is Swimming to Cambodia. They both are. They're both amazing films.
If music is involved, the best one-woman show I've ever seen is Elaine Stritch.
Okay.
She's fabulous, just fabulous. She goes through her whole life. She's absolutely amazing.
Cool. So I hope that answers the question. So let's go on to Lydia Torres. Hi, Lydia. Long time no see. Lydia is a very recent volunteer of Space Command.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're a little low, but yes.
I finally got my microphone working. I don't believe
Good.
it. Hi, I'm Lydia. I'm presently working on Space Command. I am working on a Centaur series that has been very difficult to write. I'm working on it. It's going to be a series. I'm going to start out with getting my podcast done first, then go animation, and then if that takes off, then we'll see where we're going to go with that. So that's what my present project is.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So let's see. I was born and raised in Hollywood. I was born into theater. So I was growing up on stage very, very young. When I was like 7 years old, I was thrown up on stage. I became a ballerina.
You were born in a theater?
Yeah, live theater.
On the stage, born on the stage, in a theater.
In the theater.
No, not in the theater, in a theater.
Theater. We're talking like
Okay, good. Never mind.
the 60s here, you know. I ain't no spring chicken. I bounce around like one, but I'm not.
Okay.
And so I pursued the ballet theater and singing, acting, dancing, working on the sets, doing hair, costumes, makeup, whatever could get involved with the whole theater production. Then later on, I got involved in medicine, studied at USC, and worked as a medic for 20 some years. Then got involved in paralegal work and started studying entertainment law, which I'm still pursuing. And I have a son that is 33 years old who works with who worked with George Lucas, excuse me, and he worked with the Star Wars crew. It was a wonderful experience. He went to the Art Institute in San Francisco, and he started out by playing video games or whatnot. I presently am living in Fontana, so I'm not too far from Los Angeles, but about 40 minutes away. And I'm available if anybody needs help with anything. I'm available to help anybody for whatever department you need me in.
And she has a great attitude. She came down to Space Command and helped us out.
Yeah.
Doing things she'd never done before, in specifics, in some cases, a more broader sense. You know, it's funny because Space Command's volunteering involves building science fiction sets. And you can't really have any other way of knowing what that's like unless you've built other science fiction sets. You have to have a big imagination on how to make things in the physical universe be manipulated into things that are science fiction. And it was like a duck to water. So I was really happy to have you down and help, and I hope you come some more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll be there on Mondays and Wednesdays.
Okay. That's a good plan. We'll do that.
Okay.
So very good. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions there, Adam?
Yes, let's go to Scott Gamble has another question for Mr. Movies. What do you think about Warner Brothers announcing that next year they intend to stream movies on HBO Max the same day they plan to release them in the theaters?
Well, once upon a time when I first moved to Hollywood, the big kerfuffle was about whether or not to release the VHS copies closer than 6 months of the theatrical release. And that was kind of a cutoff, 6 months. Now, time has passed and things have changed, and the systems that are out there that display projects into different mediums have changed. I personally am old school. I'm kind of OG about that. I don't like it. I think they should play it in the cinema first. I think that if you're going to play it in 10 cinemas in 1 week and get it all done in 1 week, that's fine, because you have to get it out fast anyway. If it comes out a month or two after that in the streaming channels, I think I'm okay with that too. The same time, I used to work in post-production a lot, and we would always spend a couple of weeks after the final mix getting ready for the foreign release, which was going to happen 3 or 4 months later. Then, because of piracy, they have to happen on the same day. So to have everything released on the same day, to me, it's kind of like cutting open the golden goose a little bit. And I think it takes away from the theatrical release to the point where you can't watch a Laker game on TV when they're playing in town because no one would come. So I'm a little bit along those lines as far as that goes. I think if anything, we have to go the other direction and make films stay in the cinemas longer so people will go back to the cinemas, because that's not going to happen in 2 seconds. I'll be the first one in line, but a lot of people are like, no way, I'm not going to see a movie. They're not going to see a concert. They're not going to go to Coachella. And that'll change. But financially, and Warner Brothers' ideas there, I don't know what these studios are doing, because they're sitting there with finished films that they can't play. And everybody's afraid of what happened to Tenet. Everybody's afraid of what happened to Mulan. And they don't want to make the wrong choice. So is that the right choice financially? Maybe it is for them. Who knows? I mean, the thing that's interesting about the COVID right now is that nobody knows what's going to happen. There's no prediction of any film releases or TV releases or anything else that's happening. I'm working with Mark and Elaine, helping to finance a TV series concept that they'll tell you about when they're on again. And nobody has answers of what's going to happen with the profits, because no one's done this before. So, I wish them all the best. Warner Brothers is an awesome studio. They've made some incredible films. They're one of the best at marketing in the business, if not the best. And I'm a big fan. So I hope they're successful. That's what I can say about that. I would rather have the films be in cinemas first, though.
Could I say something on this?
Sure.
It seems to me, and I don't know where my video just went away.
I don't know either. You went away as soon as you came on with the audio.
That's really peculiar. Okay, stop video, start video, and it's still not doing it.
Michelle Hart, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, well.
There she is.
There I am. Hey. It has come to a point with, and this is exclusive of COVID, assuming that COVID is going to be over someday and that we'll all still be alive when it is. I mean, not, dead from COVID. I mean, just dead from old age, waiting for this all to change. It seems to me that we have gotten to a point with showing things in movie theaters where everything is dependent on the first week's take. And that basically has to do with how good their PR system is. There's no more of what used to happen in the olden days, when you would see a movie, maybe you went to see it the first week and you told your friend, hey, you better catch so-and-so, that's really good. And they could go next week and it would still be playing. And the movie would roll out and become more popular and sometimes become a great big hit because people kept coming from word of mouth, and that doesn't happen anymore.
Well, it does happen now. It happens in Rotten Tomatoes.
Well,
the reviews come out there and people will not go because of that review.
Well,
or be a hit because of it. It happens both directions. I agree with you, but it's very, what's happening now is so against the way it happened in the old days. I was watching films in the 60s and the 70s in a cinema, and I loved the whole anticipation of it. I love telling my friends I saw Star Wars 10 times over a year period in the same cinema. How could that ever happen now? I don't think it could happen now for a few weeks. So,
in those days, you were watching it as the film got scratchier and scratchier every time.
Sometimes, that's right. Were you going to say, Mark?
As someone who worked in theaters for a long time, you want to know why movies started getting less and less in theaters. They went from playing 6 months to sometimes a year. Secret Row and the Niche played a year. Is because when it was VHS and it took almost a year till it came out on VHS, then you had no other way to see it but theaters, and encourage people to go to theaters. Now they release it on DVD less than a month after it hits theaters. Well, why are people going to go see it at a theater when for it's $20 a ticket in theaters, or at the Red Box you can get it for $1.85 for your whole family? And so the movie studios are shooting themselves in the foot by releasing it so soon. And now that they're releasing it on the same day, they're killing themselves even more.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it too.
Yeah, for you, Dave.
I mean, you have Walt Disney was a genius in so many ways, and one of them was he would make a film and be a big hit, and he would shelve it for 10 years. It wouldn't come out again. It wouldn't even have a second run, and he'd make another film the next year, and he'd repeat the one that was 10 years before. So now he'd have 2, and after 20 years he'd have 3, and after a while, those kids grew up 10 years later, and the parents would bring new kids to see the films they saw when they were kids, and he had a constant overturning market again and again of only his films. Now, you can't do that now. Disney doesn't even do that now. They bring stuff out as fast as they can, and they're more expensive than anybody, but they can do it. So it's got to be a modern world and moving forward. I agree with Mark. I think it's not the way to do it, but well, time will tell.
Can I ask you a question, David?
Yeah.
This could actually be for anybody, because this is asking like from a filmmaker's perspective. What bothers me about it most is you as a sound guy who did a lot of work in sound, and your brother's a sound guy. How much work and effort is to put together that surround sound so it just sounds right and the sounds are in the right places, and then 90% of people are going to watch it on their stereo TV and the sound mix means nothing.
Oh, my brother's a 2-time Oscar-nominated sound mixer, re-recording mixer, and he used to go to places like Fry's and Best Buy's to buy a 5.1 sound system for his home. Now, this is the guy that spent $20,000 on speakers in his home studio, okay? And he was driven so crazy by the salesman, not even knowing what it was doing, to the systems, to the speakers, to the sound of films that he had mixed, that he couldn't do it anymore. He just stopped going to those places. And he built one custom for his home because he didn't have no alternative,
But most people don't have that.
The 3 speakers behind the screen, first of all, they're not behind the screen anymore. Now they're on a bookshelf. So they're a lot harsher than they were supposed to be in the cinema. The center speaker never has the mid-range and the subwoofers like the side speakers do, so they don't match. So already there's 2 strikes against it for any kind of basic home sound system. And the answer is it's maddening. And why are we going to go through 52 channels of Atmos in the ceiling? It becomes 12 channels in the people that want to pay the money in the home, which becomes 2 channels for the people that don't. So yeah, I got a lot to say about that subject. I just had a friend, I advised a friend, which he paid me for, building a new house to make the ultimate home system. I mapped it all out for him at the last minute. He changed his mind because he liked how the speakers at at Best Buy sounded better. So what are you going to do? Okay, go for it. Anyway, I think we've had enough of that subject for a while. So let's go to our next poison, which is Mark.
Hey, if I had known I was next, I would have just held my question. I'm not going to be able to call you Mr. Movie Man or whatever they're calling you until you see The Commitments. If you want to borrow my copy, you can. I'm a big Alan Parker fan, and he just passed away a couple of months ago.
So am I. I'm a big Alan Parker fan.
Yeah.
Wait a second. I think I have seen The Commitments. What is it again?
It's the soul group in Dublin.
That's right. I did see that. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of the thing about the Runaways.
Yeah, no. This was brilliant.
Alan Parker, there's an underrated guy. He's such a good filmmaker, and his films are so solid. It's like he can't make an unentertaining film if he tried. It's amazing. So now that I remember the name of that actual film and what it was again. Yeah, his films. He did Pink Floyd's The Wall. He did so many great films. And Midnight Express. I got to meet Brad Davis. I got to work with Brad Davis, who played Billy Hayes in Midnight Express, and he told some stories about that. And these are he's one of the great 70s and 80s directors. So there you go. I got a delayed reaction on that one, but thank you for that.
I will say this, and then I'll move on. Nobody else should have made that Bohemian Rhapsody. Nobody else. Alan Parker, nobody does music better. He really gets into the characters, and the fact that they didn't have him do Bohemian Rhapsody. Well, I mean, you can see. I mean, I know a lot of people like it, but Not a big fan.
Well,
Anyway,
you're wrong.
well, you know, the fact they got all the facts wrong and really didn't dig deep into anything. Anyway,
What are you up to?
so my name is Mark. For people who don't know me, I'm an editor. I'm up to nothing right now. This is a really dead month for me, editing wise. Finished a lot of projects. I'm still waiting for a project from Vegas to have the footage sent to me. I got the project because I know Tanya Kersey, who is the founder of the Hollywood Black Film Festival, and she sent them to me because she got tired of the filmmaker saying, no, the film isn't finished yet. And she's like, you got to get it finished. So it's supposed to be sent to me, but it can't get finished if they don't send it to the editor. So I'm waiting for that. But other than that, this is the month to finish my short film, since it's now an empty month with the exception of some Santa Claus gigs because I do Santa in December. And so last Monday I locked the picture complete because the last graphic was finally sent to me. So Earl Smith, who's a table member, now officially has it for sound and color. I am starting, or not sound and color, for sound and music. I'm starting to do color correction on it as well as some of my own graphics because I'm putting cracks in walls and stuff, which is something I know how to do. So that's moving forward really well. The hope is to have it by the end of the year done, please. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I just found out the other day that I am the recipient of the honorable mention for best editing at a film festival called Indie Shorts Awards, Buenos Aires.
Oh, great. That deserves a round of applause. So to echo what Mark is saying, being an editor myself, there are lots of film festivals and lots of awards out there, but not a lot of them give editing awards. So to even be in a festival that has an editing award is a special thing, but to win it is a very unusual thing. So congratulations for that.
Yeah. Well, this was just an honorable mention, but the film one is called The Photojournalist Covering Pandemic Life in Italy. I don't think it's pandemic life. I mean, no matter what. But I'm really, I'm grateful to get any award because it's recognition for your work. And this is a film I finished like 2.5 years ago. So for it to still be out there making the rounds is really, really great.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. I do want to say welcome back to Christine Laurie, who did work on my film and has probably been wondering what's been happening with it. But yeah, she was pretty amazing working on my stuff, and she's been gone for a while. So I just want to say hi to her for that. I'm also going to be spending this month, as I've been telling people over the weeks, I am trying to put together a website/podcast championing underseen and underrated movies. Talk radio will be one that I talk about. So that's moving a little slower than I wanted to, just because it's a complicated thing to put together for one person, but I am moving forward on that. I just watched a movie called Hard Candy, which I'll be writing up a review for to put on it. So moving forward with that.
And Hard Candy I have seen, and that's well worth seeing.
Yeah, it's a great movie, especially it's a lot of close-ups, but it works because of how great it is. I think it's one of Ellen Page's early films.
I know the director.
It might be her first film.
I know the director to Hard Candy.
She's remarkable in that film.
Yeah,
that's great. That thing twists.
I believe he
Elliot
goes
Page.
by Elliot Page.
Elliot.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm moving forward on that. I may actually reach out to people not for the podcast. The podcast is going to be me and a guest talking about a movie of the guest's choosing that fits into this realm. But I may be reaching out to people if they might want to write reviews for the website. I don't have any money for it, but I used to write for a company called Adventures by Daddy movie reviews to kind of get my work out there to be seen. Because I do kind of want to keep it as like a weekly review thing, and it's hard to do that every week when you're editing and doing everything else. But that's I do have a question before I get to my last thing. And so for my short film, I'm putting a quote from this book called Alice in Zombieland on the front end, and I reached out to the author and her assistant, who said they can't give me permission. It's got to go through the publishing company, who they've actually reached out to for me, but haven't heard anything. But then the assistant to the author, and I want to see if anybody knows anything about this, said that if I used one sentence, there's a thing called the fair use clause that says I don't necessarily need permission.
That's true. You should look up the fair use clause and study that. But yes, that's true. It's
Okay.
very tricky because the difference between copyright infringement and borrowing or sharing, it's a fine line in some cases. That small amount of information, like, obviously someone like Shakespeare being old enough to be in public domain doesn't apply, but people take quotes from things all the time. So I would definitely look into that fair use clause before you talk to them more, so you get armed with correct information.
Well, the only thing I'm talking to them about is, can you give, is it okay? Because I'm, so that's what
But
I'll
you might
talk.
not need to do that. That's the point.
I'll keep. Well, I plan on getting the okay, even if there is a fair use clause. I still out of respect to, them.
Sure.
Hold on a second. My phone's ringing. So I'll look into more into that. As they still try and get a hold of the publisher. I mean, it is the holidays, so
yeah.
Okay. And again, why would the publisher have a problem if the author doesn't have a problem with it?
Well, that's a long story too, but they have problems.
Well, I'm not making any money. I made it very clear. I'm not making any money off the short. I'm not looking
to thing called money, and that's where it all comes from.
Yeah.
Because that's what they want. They want their people out there with money coming back to them. So anyway, we'll keep us posted. I'd like to see how that pans out.
Yeah, well, I will, because it's a learning experience for me right now, so might as well pass that experience on to everybody else.
Okay.
My last thing is, because I'm doing this website and podcast with movie reviews in order to kind of get everybody used to me doing this, so that they'll be looking forward to my podcast website when it comes out. I'm trying to give a recommendation every time for the last couple of weeks, and since we're in the holiday season, my all-time favorite holiday movie is one that is completely underseen, and it's called Prancer, with Sam Elliott, Abe Vigoda, and Cloris Leachman. And it's about a little girl who finds a injured reindeer who she thinks is Prancer. And
that's a great cast. So
it's an incredible movie. It's really heartfelt. It's done in a very kind of realistic kind of way. The characters are handled. It's not sugary sweet. I mean, it kind of does get there that way in the end, but if you haven't seen it, and I guarantee you probably haven't, because so many people haven't, they're busy watching, Muppets Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life, check out Prancer. It's just, like I said, it's my all-time favorite holiday movie.
Okay, great. Thanks. All right, Adam, we have another question.
We do. In fact, speaking of, with Mark and everyone, it's an editor question. So Scott Gamble asks, I'm going for a new production computer. Do you guys vote for Apples or PCs?
We're pretty big Apple people in general. I personally like Premiere. It's a very powerful software platform that has lots of things going for it, including being attached to all sorts of other Adobe products. If you want to spend the $60 a month, you can get dozens of professional level Adobe products that are amazing. I speak for that myself. I like the versions that Apple offers for the DaVinci Resolve. It works beautifully. I don't know what it's like on a Windows. I'm sure it's fine. There are a lot of powerful Windows computers out there. I just have always liked Apple. I've always liked the resolution of the monitors better and all sorts of things like that I'm sure, there's plenty of arguments in both directions, but that's mine. Plus, Dave Edison and I both use Apples on Space Command, so it makes things way easier. That's my 2 cents. What about you guys, Dave?
Well, I figure if budget $60 a month isn't a consideration, it's actually not quite 60, but it's crept up from 50. Then for me, it's just a business expense. So I would say go for Adobe, because you've got Photoshop and After Effects and other programs that I'm forgetting, Acrobat. Everything comes with the package. But if budget's a consideration, or if you just want to ramp up, then DaVinci Resolve is coming along pretty strong. Their editing software gets better and better with each version. I think they're up to version 17 now, which might be out of beta by now. But try DaVinci Resolve. You have to have a powerful computer, because you've got, I think it's 6 programs operating at the same time. But you've got the editing software, you've got their color correction, you've got Fairlight, which is their version of
Pro Tools.
Thank you. You've got Fusion, which is their version of After Effects. So you can do a lot of stuff with it. And the light version, which is not much lighter than the $299 suite, is free. And the $299 suite is a single-time purchase of $299, as opposed
And the free
to
version
every
of
month.
Resolve also lets you do finished product things. It's not, doesn't restrict you when you go to do an output and say, oh, pay the extra money, we'll give you an output.
Right.
Do that. So
Right, and I think you're limited a bit. I don't think you can do full 4K output. You can go up to UHD, which
something
is
like that,
which
yeah.
is 16 by 9, like a TV screen, just a little shy of 4K. But yeah, it's if budget's a consideration, then go with DaVinci Resolve, which will work for either Mac or PC.
Right. Mark?
Well, I'm an Apple guy. And as Dave learned recently, I have one of the new Mac Pros, which I would not have purchased if I did not make the purchase before COVID, because it is a purchase, because they have this $5,000-$6,000 model that they sell you on, but it will not work for 4K video and stuff. You really got to make sure you do your research. My only concern about Apple right now, purchasing an Apple right now, if you don't go with the Mac Pro, because I think this is going to be a little bit in the future for the Mac Pro, is they got that new M1 ARM chip that's out there. And that's going to change everything. So do your research, because you don't want, first of all, you don't probably want to buy the M1 chip first generation, because you never buy anything first generation. But you also don't want to spend, $1,500 to $2,000 on a iMac and then find out that 6 months later they came out with a more powerful one for the same price. And so just do your research on that.
Yeah, it really depends on the level you're at, because if you just jump in and start, you're going to be fine. These computers are up to speed. They're powerful. You can make 1080 projects all day long.
Right.
Unless you're projecting in a cinema that is 4K, you're going to be fine. If you shoot on 4K or 2K even to begin with great lighting, it's going to look beautiful. So just, you can jump in on iMovie. As an entry-level program, it's not bad.
You just got to decide you got to decide the level of the project that you're working on, because if you're doing something that you shot on your cell phones and stuff, then you don't need to go spend a lot of money on a computer.
Yeah.
Whereas if you plan on using it in the future to make it a job, and you're going to be making a feature film, let's say, you might want to consider something a little higher end. Just be very mindful of that new chip they got coming out, because they're changing the platform quite a bit. Whether it's an iMac or because you can edit on a laptop too. Their laptops are pretty stable.
You know what we should do? We should you and I and Dave should get together and write up something, a one-time sheet that could be sent out to people about all this stuff.
Right.
It's like, entry level, medium level, top pro level, just some like the speed of the drive is more important than the speed of the processor. And the amount of RAM is only important up to a point, because after that, it doesn't use more RAM. And these are things people don't know when they hear all the advertising, and they spring for this stuff that they don't have to spend money on.
Especially with Premiere. Because I think there was a point when I was working Final Cut Pro 7 where it'd be like, I want to put in all this RAM. And it's like, no, Final Cut Pro 7 won't actually use any more than this. So
it uses 4 gigs.
Yeah.
Final Cut 7 uses 4 gigs of RAM. People get 32 gigs of RAM and spend $2,000 on it, and it still only uses 4. So what's the point?
Yeah. And so just decide how complicated your project is before you buy the computer. Because if you're just going to be doing small independent stuff, you might be fine with just an iMac.
I'm one of the few people out there that still likes to buy used computer equipment. I don't buy used of just anything, but I'm very picky about it. You can get refurbished deals that are amazing. You can get used gear if it's from a legitimate source. I have a guy that rebuilds computers by the hundreds, and I'll just order up the exact specs I want, and he'll bring me one of them, and I pay him. It's really amazing. So anyway, we could go on about this for a while, but
as for the program, I use Adobe Premiere, but I am thinking about flipping over to Resolve. So I'm going to start playing around a little bit in Resolve, because Premiere is very glitchy with sound. You'll play a timeline and the sound will just stop for some reason on one of the tracks.
Really?
Yeah, and it also doesn't do color correction as good as, doesn't handle the color space as well as Resolve. But that doesn't mean you can't cut it in Premiere. Premiere does a lot of wonderful things. It is a full package. That's the one you should go for if you're just starting out. It's real easy to learn. And if you do want to go color correction on your own, then you just get the free Resolve, and you can export from Premiere to Resolve, do the color correction, and it comes back in, and it's really, really easy.
Yeah.
And you just need the free Resolve for it, so it's not an extra charge.
Great. That's awesome. Thanks a lot. All right. Another question, Adam?
Oh, do we want to do another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yeah.
I thought we just did one.
Well, before Mark talked, we did.
No, that was after Mark.
No, Mark just finished.
That was his chiming in for the question.
Okay, can I have another question, please?
Yeah, we can do that. We've got another question from Scott Baker, who says, which remakes do you think are better than the originals, not counting classics like Shakespeare, but written for film productions?
The Lord of the Rings is first. Fellowship of the Ring that Ralph Bakshi made was a horrifying film. I hated it. I had read the books 5 times before that film came out. The animated Hobbit is a great film, and it holds up not as good as the book, but it's great. The Fellowship of the Ring remake by Peter Jackson doesn't even qualify as a remake. It's so good on its own. That's the first one off the top of my head. Remakes that are better, that's an air quotes thing, you know. I like the originals in many cases, and I like the remakes in some cases too. You know, I like the War of the Worlds that Tom Cruise and Steven Spielberg made. The original War of the Worlds is a great film too, but it doesn't hold up in certain ways, but it's much better in other ways. So who knows, you know, what the decision is on that one. But that's like the Lord of the Rings off the top of my head. Remakes that were better. Well, one of my favorite films of all time is Heaven Can Wait with Warren Beatty and Julie Christie. Now, that was remade from a film called Here Comes Mr. Jordan, which is a good film, but that Warren Beatty version is it's absolutely heartwarming to me, and I love that film. So I would say that's an example of a remake that's better. There have been lots of films in the 30s that were remade. What about Scarface? Is the original Scarface better than the De Palma one? That's tough. You know, you have to say, well, what parts of filmmaking do you like better of one of the two directors? And the truth is that De Palma was taking, you know, a lot of his filmmaking from other directors, especially Howard Hawks and Alfred Hitchcock. So who's to say how original that was? I think it's completely original personally, even though some things were copied style-wise. It's still his own version of what it is to him. So that's a tough one, you know.
Like our friend Joseph Dougherty always says, you don't remake the good films, you remake the bad ones. Like, right. And that's why he and it's not a classic, but Christopher Guest did Joe's script of Attack of the 50-Foot Woman for HBO, which was one of the original ones is just awful, but
right.
And actually here's a sequel that's better than the original.
Mars Attacks is like that too. You can take the campy movies and remake them in an awesome way. The Thing, I think, is like that. The Thing is a great remake.
Yes,
it's a tremendous quality film, and the original is really not, you know, not so good. The first one, you know, I mean, it's fun, but nothing like that.
I mean, Frankenstein 1931 was a great film, but Bride of Frankenstein is better.
Oh, is that a remake or a sequel? Now we're into
that's a sequel. That's a sequel, not a remake. But
I get it. How about the last remake of Ojess? Anyway, all right, good. That's a great question. Thanks. Now I'm going to go to Adam and take a tiny break while Adam talks.
Who, me? Well, I guess I'll take my turn. Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Sartain, a voice actor with over 75 different voices, accents, and impressions. And I am a associate producer on Space Command. Yay! So lately in voiceover world, I've had a few things. We've been doing table reads over Zoom for this movie project that some of you may have heard from. A friend of mine is doing it, Matthew Corrado, who was on a few of these table meetings. It's a movie called, an animated movie called Diamond Dragons. So we just finished our last table read. We've been doing them in chunks. We didn't do like one giant table read of the whole movie because it's like, you know, a 2-hour movie. So we've done them in snippets. And just last month we did the final snippet of that, and a animated series that I was hired on, a potential animated series, I should say, a pilot that I was hired on to do several voices for. The first run, which was like a couple years ago, it was just the creator just did it as a, animatic, where it was just stills from the, different things with the voice track behind it. It couldn't see the light of day. So he made a new episode with like somewhat decent animation. He even put up several billboards all around town and just went nowhere. So he's trying a third time, changed the name. It was originally Too Beautiful for This Planet, and now he's naming it after the two main characters, Hunk and Grody, which I think is a better title anyway. It's a shorter, and that's what it's about. It's about the two main characters, Hunk and Grody. And for those of you who don't know, I voice Grody Ogerman, who is one of the main characters. Where was it? So he's trying a third time. He's written a third script, and we're trying to find female voice actors to do the girlfriends of the two main characters, and also the main character's boss, which he wants to have like a Katharine Hepburn-esque voice. So if you guys, I'll post on.
If you're looking for a Katharine Hepburn type voice, I think I can help you out on that somewhere.
Yeah. Very good. I'll send an email to the table, or I'll send you an email for that part, and then I'll.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Adam, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I can be a girlfriend, Adam.
Yeah,
I can do it.
the girlfriends are like very like, well, the original actresses, it's like, New York accents, very.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
I think all three of them can handle that, no
Any
problem.
of us
Yeah,
can handle any of this
I don't
stuff.
know why
Well-
you're saying all that. No,
I'll send you guys the guy's contact info.
That's coolio.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Anything you need?
The other thing is the thing I've been saving all of my time for this season is virtual Santa Claus, which is also why I've been growing out my beard. And with as any new company with technology involved, they've had setbacks, and they've been pushing it back and pushing it back. So this weekend they're supposed to be fully launching, and I haven't been scheduled, so I'm a little worried. But supposedly there's going to be work for me. We'll see.
All the best.
Yeah.
Very
So-
cool. Thank you.
But I'm I can always squeeze in time for table reads and voiceover stuff, or just anything. And then I might have time this week, especially if I don't get scheduled, to help out Space Command too at the.
Oh wow. I was just thinking you helped out one day on Space Command, and it was a great experience for me. And at the end of it, you said you never ever wanted to work on a crew again. Now we're not shooting now, so it's a little different.
As long as I just have one job and I don't have to do 5 jobs at once,
I
I'm
got it.
okay.
We could probably work out if you can take a paintbrush and go like this 4 or 5.
And I can hit a hammer too.
Yeah. Okay, good.
I can swing a hammer.
Very
So
good. All right, I will take you up on that. Thanks a lot.
yeah, let me know when you need me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And
yeah.
that's me.
Good. You got another question there?
Another Mr. Sci-Fi question? Yeah. I
Mr.
think
Whatever
we
question.
do.
Mr. Whomever question.
Oh yeah, I guess it would be. Yeah. Where was it?
These are challenging questions. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Bum.
No pre-interview here.
Oh yeah, there's I think or maybe it was there wasn't any new ones. No, yeah, I don't think there are any new ones.
Okay.
Well, we
Very
can
good.
listen to Judith. We can listen to Judith sing.
Also, I will say,
Your,
Yeah.
your mic is
I-
on, Judith.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say that there is, especially for you new folks on watching on Mr. Sci-Fi, there is a thing on YouTube called Super Chat, where if you click on the Super Chat little $ thing, and you can pay a couple dollars, and any Super Chats, they get immediately up to the top, the very next thing I read. So if you want to jump the line, you can throw a couple bucks, Mr. Sci, and I will read what you write within reason. Within reason.
Thanks. All right,
Yes.
good. Now let's try Samantha Hyde. Hi, Samantha. Are you there? Oh, there we go.
Another new member.
Hi, I am in Northern California, so it's pretty cool that this is remote. I didn't get the link until late, so I came 20 minutes in, so I'm still not entirely sure what this is, but I'm kind of figuring it out. I am.
You only missed the cartoon.
Let me tell you, Samantha, let me tell you a little bit, because there are a couple other people that just came on too. This is a group that was formed 26 years ago by Mark and Elaine Zickery. They were writers. At the time, they're exclusively writers. And they had friends that were writers, and they found that there was a lack of camaraderie in the film industry, and they needed some kind of support group for each other to be able to come and talk about things and not feel like they were being criticized, and feel very supportive. And they formed the table, which met once a week at the time in person. And that went on for unbroken until now. I was with them 25 years ago for a short time, and then back 8 years ago. And up until COVID, we were meeting at Marie Callender's in the Valley every week, and we would have 40 to 50 people involved. So we're able to do this Zoom now version of the table, which is nice.
Well,
And it's
God's
basically,
so
there's no talk of political things. There's no religious references. There's no hierarchical. You could sit at the table and be next to someone who won an Emmy or an Oscar, which I've done both of at the table before, and just be here, 2 weeks from Ohio on your first ever trip to LA. And everyone is friendly with each other. They help each other if they can and give them advice. And that's what we're all doing here. And it's usually run by Mark and Elaine Zickery, but they're on holiday for a few days, so I'm taking over for tonight. So I'm the producer, one of the producers, certainly, of Space Command, a show that Mark and Elaine are putting together as showrunners, science fiction TV show. And the rest of us, one way or the other, I think pretty much everyone here has been involved with that at one time or another, unless you're very new. And, people can come and volunteer with that if they want to. And so what you do is you talk about yourself and what you've been up to and what your background is. And then you offer any help that you can offer the group, typically as a volunteer, but not always. And also what you need, you can also ask for at the end, and people will reach out to you if they feel like they can help you.
And Mark and Elaine, for new people, they typically ask, what is your big dream? If everything went well, what would that look like?
So there you go. That's what you missed.
Okay, cool. Factoid, I think Adam saw this in the chat, but I actually know Castori. So I've heard of Space Stars because my friend Castori is in it. I don't know what she does.
Yes, she is. She got involved with Space Command by volunteering.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
She got a part, and she's on the cover of the comic book.
Yeah, I've seen it. So I follow it on Instagram. I didn't realize that would be like part of this tonight, but that was a big surprise when I saw it. I was like, I recognize that photo behind Adam because of my friend.
Right.
I'll have to text her after this. I'm like, hey.
Right.
But my big dream would be to win an Oscar for Best Actress. But in terms of what I do now, I mean, I love acting. I love voice acting, although I haven't gotten to done really as much of that as I would like. But I chatted you, Adam. I'd love if you could email me about that opportunity, although I probably can't do it. It's still good to try. And I also write. Thus far, my biggest credit, I had a 2-line role on the Netflix original series Atypical. I got to come down to LA for a little bit and shoot it. It was really amazing. And then that little bit went viral on TikTok, which was kind of cool. Just because it's kind of like a funny moment. Just last week, I was in Forbes Online. I got to talk about what it's like being an autistic actress. And I put together this reel of autistic actors because of what Sia said about how autistic actors can't act, which is stupid. Not that I'm putting down Sia, because I feel like she got caught in I don't want to put down other artists, which is why I just made it positive and just made a reel of autistic actors, which I am an autistic actor. So I've been on Netflix, it's in a Forbes article. My screenplay about like growing up with disabilities and whatnot made it to the second round of Sundance Screen Writers Lab. I haven't really done anything with it since then. I don't necessarily have it's very hard to be self-directed. I think we all probably face that a little bit as artists. I'm definitely very interested in volunteering, and it's harder for me because I'm based in Northern California, and I'm definitely not going to randomly go down to LA in the middle of a pandemic because I just don't think that's appropriate. But if anyone needs online things, I'm very good at giving lots of opinions and constructive critiques. I love constructive critiques, my own art as well. In terms of what I'm working on right now, I just met this really talented composer, and we're making an animated film. And I wasn't really expecting to do that, but she was like, oh yeah, I can animate. And I was like, what? So we're making this animated film, and I'm excited about that. In terms of what I need, I'm working on my demo reel right now as an actor. And I bought a footage of a crime reenactment show that I was in from iTunes, and I can't convert it to an edible form because of the DRM. And I can't screen record it because it's from 2012. I guess I can look for off-brand screen recorders that don't recognize Apple's copyright. And, I called Apple about it, and they were kind of like, well, it's not that we want to prevent you from doing it, because we understand you're not trying to steal it, you're entitled to that footage. But they really weren't able to give me any insight. So if anyone has ideas, and even if I screen record it, it's going to lose some of the quality. Then of course you put it on Actors Access, and it loses more quality.
Yeah,
that's kind of the challenge.
Did you try Wondershare? Wondershare makes a software for YouTube ripping. It's very strong, and it might defeat whatever they've got on there.
What's it called?
Wondershare. Wondershare All My Tube is what it's called. There used to be an awesome program. It was called Mac the Ripper. And it would rip DVDs, and it would rip YouTube videos, and it was amazing, but it only works with a 32-bit version. So the newer versions are 64, and you should try it.
Yeah, I have a 64.
Wondershare is an amazing software company. For me personally, I think they're great. They do all kinds of formatting things. They can do a file transfer of any kind of file to any other kind of file. They can do conversions all over the place. It's an amazing company, and they offer this ripping software that you might try. And some of is this the one that's $35 or the one that's free? I forget. I always get it mixed up. Mark, you know that answer.
For what, Wondershare?
If Wondershare is $35 or if the other one's $35.
I don't use Wondershare. I actually use something completely different that I have great luck with, called Mac X DVD video converter for taking stuff off YouTube and stuff. So
yeah, there's software out there, and you can check with us later if you want to try that. And if that doesn't work, taping it off the monitor is tough, but you can do that too. You can get a really good camera that's got a shutter.
I have a low res version of it already. That's in 320 or something, not 320, but not right under 720. I don't remember what's right below 720. But I have that because I guess at some point I did screen record it, and I don't remember when or how.
Yeah, see, if you screen record in an enclosed environment with a camera perfectly centered vertically and horizontally, with a camera that has a shutter, and you can make the shutter larger than 90 degrees or 180 degrees, it won't strobe, and it'll capture the thing pretty good. But that's more advanced, but you can do it.
I'm sorry, I missed the beginning of this. Are you trying to grab stuff off of YouTube?
No, I have an iTunes file, which I legally purchased for the intent of putting it in my demo reel, and have not been able to convert it.
iTunes is really, really difficult because they have this you buy it but you don't own it mentality.
Yeah.
You're only getting the licensing on it.
Mhm.
And I have never been able to grab anything off of iTunes, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've had times when
Try as Wondershare, though. I haven't done that.
I couldn't even get a single frame off of some of the stuff. So sometimes they've got encryption that's like beyond crazy. You
Yeah,
might
I don't know how I did it before because I did it in 2013, but it was like it didn't record correctly. But I have it, so it's not like worst case. But I have like OCD, so I'm like, no, it has to be high resolution. At a certain point, I'm just gonna accept the fact that I have it and like just move on.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just got a lot of things in the. I'm applying to grad school. I'm not really sure. Excited to be here because I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not able to get jobs? And I mean, yes, I'm not in LA.
That's
But
a part of it. All COVID aside, you're physically in LA, you can go to places and meet people and go to auditions and go to all these places. They're all here.
Mhm.
So the internet version of it is great and it's fine, but it boils down to sitting in a room with someone and looking them in the eye. And that's when they're going to hire you. That's really what it amounts to. So you can get quite a ways without it, but eventually, sooner than later, you're going to have to be here.
yeah. It's just a matter of, getting there.
Somebody ought to
Support
get
system first.
emails and stuff. Can we connect her to the email?
The table email?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the next step.
She's new. She needs to get connected.
Well, yeah, we're doing that.
I did email you, David. I think I'm not sure if it went through. I tried to, but yeah, I was invited here by Emil or Emily. I'm not sure if it's Emil or Emily.
Samantha emailed me at 6:35 p.m. right after I announced it on the email on the table. So that's the kind of aggressive, go get it attitude that's going to get you there. And I will tell you. Did you hear the advice on his deathbed from the famous director that I know about? Did you hear that advice? John Huston, on his deathbed, he said, "Don't let the bastards get you down." So if you take that one piece of advice, and some advice I got from Steven Spielberg secondhand when I first moved here, he said, "Work hard, never give up." Steven Spielberg. Now, at the time, he was a huge hero of mine. He still is, but at the time, it was like God had spoken, right? I mean, oh my God, this has got the top person. So if you take those two things into account on their own, you'll get there. So my question is, what do you want to have? So what is the thing that you want to have? Because people in school, they say, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? That's a good question. So is what do you want to be when you grow up? They get asked that too. But the question that you really should ask is, what do you want to have? So if you can really define exactly what that target is, you will be that much closer to actually getting that target. So that's my 2 seconds of advice. At the table at Marie Callender's, I would offer for anyone that wanted to, they could take me to lunch and I would spend 2 or 3 hours and do a career counseling with them because I really enjoy teaching. It's really kind of the only way I get to teach anymore. And I could do that, but it's a little trickier to do, under COVID circumstances. But Samantha, I'd make an exception for you and we could work something out. Because you're the kind of person that looks to me like you're just not going to take no for an answer. So the question you really need to have in mind is, what do I have to go up against or towards to get there? So that could easily be solved, especially with the table and the table email. So anyway, that's awesome. Welcome. You're a great addition, I can tell already. And for those of you that do table reads and need younger people, there she is. All right, so let's go for another question. Somebody chime in yet?
Let me check.
See, Adam, when I finish someone, then I need a question.
Yeah, I know. But I'm doing other stuff in the background. I'm like a duck with the.
I kind of noticed that. I did.
I've got a Scott Gamble question here.
Great, go for it, Scott.
What would you say was your best experience working with actors or running across Hollywood royalty professionally over the years, other than Robert Wise or Jim Cameron?
That's a great one. My favorite actor meeting experience was, and this is a go-to I have when people ask me that question, especially if they're not from Hollywood, was Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman was the most polite, friendly, nice person. He sat and chatted with me. He said, and I didn't have much to do on the film. I was a sound editor visiting the set because the director was a friend. And he took total time with me. He had no problem and he was really friendly. Then when I saw him at the wrap party, he remembered me and said it again. I mean, I've had a lot of great experiences. That's probably my top of my list, favorite one. I met Amanda Seyfried once at Marie Callender's, not Marie Callender's. I'm sorry, at oh my God, what was Mayfair? Gelson's, Los Feliz, and she was super nice and friendly. You know, I'm talking to her in the middle of a grocery store, but she was cool. You know, and you know, I've had some really fun experiences with actors. I've had some really nightmarish ones too, but you didn't ask me that question. So the fun ones and the good ones are really, you know, one of the most entertaining single experiences I've had was I did ADR once. ADR is a dialogue you replace in post-production later when it's messed up on the set or you need a better take or whatever. The director was Emilio Estevez, and one of the two stars in the film was him, and the other one was his brother, Charlie Sheen. So Charlie Sheen came in, and he spent his entire time trying to make Emilio laugh. And it was the most hysterical 2 hours of my life. I mean, I couldn't believe how funny he was and how hard he made Emilio laugh. Emilio was laying on the floor holding his stomach at one point. And it was just, and it was a movie called Rated X, which was about the two Mitchell brothers that started pornography, the Showtime film. And it was filled with all kinds of terrible words and sentences and phrases. There was no way they were going to make a TV sale out of this movie. No way. But they still needed those lines done because it was in the contract. And we're just like, how are we going to do that? So I had to come up with alternatives. So Charlie would read one and he would like, really? He would look at us like, you're going to do this word for that word? So you go, okay, let's do it. And he would do it. The beeps would happen and he would turn and he would say something a lot worse than what was in the film. Just improvise some hysterically terrible thing. And Emilio was just dying. And it was like, it took us forever to get through it, but it was so much fun. So you never know where that's going to come from, you know? I got to work with Gene Simmons from Kiss. And this guy walks in like he's the king of Hollywood. And he had full confidence, the most confident person I've met maybe ever. It was amazing. I mean, well, that was cool. Gene Simmons, you know, and all kinds of other people. I worked with Mary Steenburgen. She was a dream. She was so good. Oh, here we go. I'm not going to tell my other story tonight. I'll tell this one. I worked with Goldie Hawn once. Now, Goldie was on the set of a film that I was here 1 week in Hollywood. I met her, and she was kind of the first movie star I really met. So 10 years later, I get to work with her on a film called Deceive. So I got to direct her personally for 45 minutes once, and that was like one of my favorite highlights. But I was in New York doing these lines, and you do like 10 lines an hour, 12 lines an hour is a pretty decent clip, right? And she had 180 lines to do because she was the star of the film. So we start off doing this, and Kurt Russell comes in with this little girl, and they're going to go have fun in the city during the day. And the little girl was, Goldie's daughter, Kate Hudson, and she was like 10. So they took off, and she was there, and she read the first line, and got it kind of fumbled, and tried again, and tried a third one, and then she was doing them in 2 takes each time, and then she was nailing them in 1 take. Then she was getting these takes by reading the script first, and then just doing it to the screen without hearing it first. Now she had not seen the film. There was no rehearsal, nothing. And she was doing these one after another, perfect every time. I couldn't believe it. And I said, how can you do that? She said, well, I just remember what I did on the set. Well, that was 6 months before, and she was doing another film since then. So she finished the whole thing in 1 day. Okay, then we found out she wanted to get it done so she could play on Sunday on the dime of Disney with Kurt and Kate. So I asked the mixer there, I said, have you ever seen anything like this? He says, I've only seen 2 people that were better than that. One was Robert De Niro, and the other one was Donald Sutherland. So there they are. And I got to work with Goldie Hawn, and that was a great thrill. So there's some answers to those questions. So next week, I'll tell the Milos Forman story. Mark, you remind me, okay? You guys have to come back. Stay tuned for next week.
Stay tuned next time for
Good.
more
Next up, we have
stories.
here Mr. David Goldenholz. What's up, Maestro?
Yes.
Love your backdrop. I've always loved that.
Thank you.
A road to the moon. It's awesome.
Road to the moon. Would you like a different background today?
It's up to you. It's your call. You're the creative person.
All right. Let's give you a different one. A picture I took, actually.
The wreck of the Hesperus. Oh, that's gorgeous. Look at that.
Yes.
Looks like a sunset at our studio. We get them those every night. That's a beautiful one. Okay, what's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I have a voiceover that I'm working on. It's a book that I'm actually signing up for. It's I don't know, it's some cooking one. And yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's I'm turning it in. Hopefully I'll get it. Hopefully. But if not, so be it, you know. But besides that, as I'm saying, I do voiceover. I also do sound. And I don't do sound like David does. I do sound as in live sound. So when people are doing like movie sets and all that, then I help do the sound for that.
Production sound.
What?
Production sound.
Yes. I'm just clarifying for everybody.
Yeah, live sound sometimes is confused with production sound because it's more like rock concerts. I'm not trying to change what you said, but to help everybody understand the real difference, because production sound is a term that almost nobody understands. So I understand why you would avoid it for confusion purposes. But he's on the set with the mic, and the actor is when they say, you know, action.
But yes, so I do those things, and also besides that, hopefully all of you had a good Thanksgiving. And also, one question for you, David, is Spirited Away. Have you seen it?
What's up with you guys tonight? Spirited Away, I have not seen, and I've heard that that is one of the great animated films of all time. I have a couple of friends that have seen it. They love it. Spirit, I guess, is another one that also people rave about, which I also have not seen. My niece, who's an animator, has kind of disowned me for the number of Pixar films I have not seen and Disney films I have not seen.
Have you seen E.T. at least?
Yes, yes. Very funny, yes. Run with some silent films by me. Let's see how you guys do with that.
But you still haven't seen Spaceballs, and for this I envy you.
Right, I still haven't seen it. That's right. That's right. Anyway, so no, I have not seen that. But thanks for the tip.
But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And yeah, I mean, I also do regular voiceover things besides just reading books. I do regular voiceovers. So if you need somebody to do voiceover work, I'm always available. And if you need somebody, just hit me up and I'll put my information down below. So yeah.
Very good. Thanks. Very good. Okay, good. Any other questions, Mr. Santa? Nope. Okay, good. Benjamin Clark, you are next. Thanks for being patient. Here you are. You're one of the first persons to sign on. Oh, there's another one. Who's your special guest? Cannot hear you. You are not muted and I can't hear you. Oh no. Adam, got any ideas? Maybe you should log on again.
You can log off, log on, or you can try mute and unmute. There's also checking which mic you're using.
Yeah, toggle the mute on and off. There you go. Did that? No, that didn't do it. Why don't you try to log off and log back on again? That changed my screen. How'd you do that?
I did that.
Oh, I see.
So I could see him.
Oh, I get
I'm
it.
sure he's using the right mic.
So Benjamin, do you want to log off and then log back on again? It might kick your sound back on.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
We'll come back to you.
Okay, Adam, can I have my screen back, please?
You're back.
No, I don't have the same view.
Oh.
I got it.
There
All
you
right,
go.
good. So next up we have Michelle Hart.
Hello.
Hello, dear. How are you doing? Yesterday, I put your gloves away again. They keep showing up. She has her own gloves at Space Command because she's helped move sets a bunch of times. Michelle's pretty badass, so don't underestimate her.
It's wonderful. I want that on my tombstone. Michelle's badass. Don't underestimate her.
Yeah, my tombstone's going to say obviously. Yeah.
Well, let's see. I am looking to find out what happened to a number of projects I've done. I was with a bunch of other dancers in a Sia film called Music that was shot so long ago. I was probably in another age category, and it hasn't come out yet. But they give us little dribs and drabs.
Yeah, we're here.
Ah, great. Hi, Benjamin. That's awesome. Why'd you
Yeah,
hang on?
good. Good.
Can you hear us now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Why don't you hang on just for a second? I'll be right back with you, okay?
Okay.
Thanks a lot. Okay, Michelle, go ahead.
Anyway, I was in this film. It's called Music, and they sent us a little dribble of a teaser on it, and it's not that I'm going to be so recognized in it. We were all in very bizarre costumes. It looks like it's going to be extremely surrealistic and fun, but I shot it so long ago, I almost forgot I did it. And there was a film that I did last year. It's very strange because at this point I'm certainly not auditioning for things as a dancer anymore, but I was the ballet double for Barbara Hershey on a film called Crohn's. It seems to be absolutely impossible to find out anything about it. I've been on IMDb Pro looking for it under that title, looking for it under Barbara Hershey to see what she's doing, and there is nothing recent listed, and she's supposed to be the lead in the film. I looked it up under the director's name, a lady named Axel Carolyn, which sounds like it should be said in reverse, but it isn't. Axel is her first name. And I cannot find anything about her doing this film. It's just vanished. And I had a lovely 3 days worth of work on it and came back with a pair of dyed red point shoes, of all things, from the film. But anyway, that's what's going on that I'm looking for my things that I did.
Okay.
I just recently did a day's background on a Disney thing, which turns.
Dave and Mark and I are all really good at that sort of thing, so we'll see what we can find out.
Oh, okay.
What was the name of the director?
Axel, A-X-E.
Yeah, the movie's called The Manor. It's actually called The Manor now. It's on IMDb. Barbara Hershey, Axel Carolyn, The Manor, due for release in 2021.
Okay, so
There
it's
you
not
go.
cool. Thank you. How cool is that?
The winner. You got a round of applause from almost everyone on that one, Mark.
Yeah, I tried to track it under Hershey and under Axel's name and everything.
There you go.
And in this really bizarre, spooky place downtown that looks like a red brick castle. It's the only building in the city that looks like that. So it'll be weird and spooky.
Well, for the longest time, Steven Spielberg was making a movie that was called A Boy's Life because he was trying to hide it. Well, he did a much larger film called Poltergeist at the same time, and it turned out to be E.T.
Well, there you are.
So that's your future.
So there's that. The reason that I have not been over to Space Command to schlep things around for you is that I have a day job, and which is going to supposedly make my landlord happier than he is now at this point.
Okay.
I'm working for a company called Closets by Design, designing closets, reasonably enough. What else would I be doing there? And it is a part-time job, but it's a part-time job that seems to be taking more of my time than I thought it was going to and giving me less money than I thought. But that's probably because I'm not really good at selling. I'm good at designing and I'm good at making nice, friendly with people. But I lack the ability to reel folks in, and they don't want you to do hard sell, and I couldn't anyway. So anyway, we'll see what happens with that. But meanwhile, it's the reason that I am not over there at Space Command helping you space out.
Do you want to get better at closing?
Yeah.
There's an amazing book. It's not a big book, and it's not hard to read at all. It's a whiz to read. It's called I just thought of it and I'm blank again. Oh my God, this is happening all the time. That's just what happens when you get to be my age.
Oh.
You know, Big League Sales. It's
Big
called
League.
Big League Sales. It was written in
Okay.
the 60s, I think. And it's a very powerful book about that very subject of closing.
I'll try and find.
Just
Thank
watch
you.
Glenn Ross again, you know, ABC, always be closing. You know? You get steak knives if you're not careful. That's awesome. Do you have anything else? That was great.
Nothing much else. You know, trying to stay healthy and trying to explain to other people that I somehow in the midst of a pandemic, I'm the person that found a job, which is really peculiar.
I get it. I get it. All righty.
Thank
you very much.
Wearing my mask, washing my hands.
Obviously, as we all should. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. All right. Benjamin Clark.
Sister last we had lunch together, which you gave me a lot of good ideas, a lot
Back
of
in February.
a lot of information.
Sure.
Working on this music that I'm doing, just everything is shut down now. I can't get in the studio with the guys, so I'm building a thing in the house here as everybody else is doing, so I can get something together. And you know, a lot of my musicians across the country, so everybody's bringing them in now. So
working from home. So everything is a little bit different, but slowly it's coming. You know, into a play where I can see it happening. Very happy. We're doing from the Apollo Theater up until Dr. Dre, which I work with all those guys in between. So it's very exciting for me now.
That's awesome. Did you ever meet the Nicholas brothers? Did you ever meet the Nicholas brothers?
I most certainly did. As a young kid, those guys with Sammy Davis, all them guys going way back to tap dancers. Yeah.
Those guys, there's a film they did, and I don't even know the title now, but there's a film the Nicholas brothers did that is just one of the most entertaining films, and they were absolutely the best dancers of all time. I mean, they do the splits on the stairs, and one of them jumps in and does the splits, and the other one is leaping at the same time, and they overlap the stairs and hit the splits and jump up again and work their way down this flight of stairs. It's off the charts. It's so amazing what they do.
Might be stormy weather.
Stormy weather?
Stormy weather?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of that. Kathy Nicholas is their granddaughter, and she is teaching tap right now.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
And
these guys are the greatest. Bojangles and the Nicholas brothers, and then Sammy Davis.
Yes.
And then, you know, those are the best tap dancers ever. And
Well,
Gregory Hines was the other one later.
I blew the cobwebs out of my tap shoes, and I've been taking some classes with her.
Oh, that's great. My sister had a dance studio. My sister was a dancer and had a dance studio, so I know all about these things. Yeah, that's great.
Well, David,
good for you.
You'll be hearing from me soon as time progresses. And thank you so much. I'm enjoying myself, kicking back, listening to everybody. It's very exciting to hear
and it's been great to like have the table meetings on Zoom.
Yeah.
Because we've only been previously we'd only been able to attend, you know, like whenever we came to LA. So this has been very convenient.
That's great. Good for you. So what are you up to, young lady?
Still writing. I had like a bit of a creative block over the summer, you know, with the stress from COVID. So
sure.
I'm getting back into writing, and I have a few ideas that I'm working on. So
good for you.
Don't
stop.
I'll definitely
the writing thing is all about writing a little bit every day and one foot in front of the other. You just don't stop it. Just keep a little flow going. If you actually get writer's block, there's a great little book you can buy. It's called The Writer's Block. And what it is about 2 inches square cube.
The Writer's Block, okay.
Of a book. And each page is something you can do, an exercise to break through your writer's block. And it's very entertaining to read all on its own, but it's actually very helpful. Yeah. It's little, it's like this big.
Okay.
I don't think I have one. I don't have one right now. Oh wait, yes I do. You know what? I'm gonna have Adam do something here for a minute anyway, and I will go see if I can find it, but it's really fun. So I recommend that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'd love to get her hands on it.
Absolutely. Very cool. Anything else from you guys?
No, that's about it. We're gonna
we'll be back next week though.
Yeah, we'll be back next week, and as things progress, we'll keep you informed. So say hello to Mark and Elaine. We thank you so much. It's always a
One more
pleasure.
thing. If you might have seen her on camera just a moment ago. This is our dog. This is
Oh, there we go.
Stella.
Very cute.
Yes, Mark, David, before you go, let me tell you about Stella. I'm a diabetic, and when we first got Stella, she's a puppy. She would jump on the bed at night, kissing me and bark at 2 o'clock in the morning. And finally, I realized, my wife said, "You think your blood sugar's low?" I checked it. She's been doing that since a puppy, and right to this day, as late as last night. If it's high, she'll bark. If it's low, she go crazy. So It's been an access to having this little puppy.
And she's had no formal training.
I don't understand. That's incredible. That's amazing.
It's a $22,000 blessing, because when I went to my doctor, she said, "You know how much the dog would cost you, Clark?" She said 22,000. I nearly fell out of my chair. I said, "Well, thank God I got one my daughter gave to me."
Wow, that's a great story.
Oh, by the way, if anybody ever needs like footage of a cute little dog, she's available, or pictures.
Very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next week then.
Yeah, don't sign off yet. I'm gonna go get that book.
Oh, no. We're here till it ends. Because
Okay,
if you
good.
find the book, fine. Yeah.
All right. Can you explain about the table email while I go find that book?
Will do. All right. So for those of you who are new, and for our listeners over at Mr. Sci-Fi, the table email is a email list of thousands of members. Again, as we've said, there's Oscar winners, there's all the way down to people who just got off the turnip truck from Ohio. And I too once fell off the turnip truck here, and that was 4 years ago. But anyway, so to get on the table email, you need one of two things. You need to attend a table meeting. This counts. And you need to email David Bartlett, and he will. There are very big, and there's a lot of instructions. It's very complicated because it's an old email system list.
Well, the main thing you have to do is you have to get an email with your first and last name in it, without any like cute nicknames or too many numbers. Numbers are okay, like Benjamin Clark 1257.
Yeah,
fine.
But Dragon Sword 23 is not going to cut it.
Moogie Pie 22 isn't going to work either.
Right.
I have a friend that actually has that as an email, moogiePie@yahoo.com. So yes, that's what you do. Send me that. Get the email first. I'll send you back information. It's pretty simple to get on. It's a little complicated to use, but there's a reason for that, as he said. So thank you.
Did you find the book? Hey, look at that. Oh, wow, that's really small. Oh, it's a block. Oh, I see. I see. Yeah.
See? It's got like these thick cardboard preschool pages.
That's cute.
Right? So here's one. It says, update a classic fairy tale for readers in the 21st century. Cinderella in a sweatshop, Sleeping Beauty on Seconal, a rollerblading Rumpelstiltskin.
Wow.
It's an exercise to break up your creative flow to get you out of the rut that you were in. And there's hundreds of these.
Wow. Well, thank you, David. We'll get it.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, look for
$10 US.
Okay, buddy. Thanks.
All right, good. All right, now, before we do our last person, any other questions?
Yes, we do have
Okay,
a couple more Mr. Movies questions.
Okay, good. Well, I haven't talked anyway, so that'll work.
There we go. We've got another Scott Gamble question, which is, what are your top favorite silent films?
My favorite film of all time is a silent film, and it's called Broken Blossoms, starring Lillian Gish and Richard Barthelmess. It's a love story with a young girl and a man who is Chinese, played by a white man, Richard Barthelmess. It's a very touching story. There's only 3 real characters in it, and by the end of it, you're just a wreck. It's like a poor hanky movie. I love that movie. I love, let's see, Napoleon by Abel Gance, which had 3 different images going at the same time and turned into a Cinerama image, 1928, I think it was. I love Greed. Greed is one of my favorite films of all time. There's an 8-hour version of it that's lost somewhere, maybe will never be found, but there's a 2-hour version that was restored a couple of years ago that's pretty remarkable. There was a great version of Metropolis that was restored a couple times, but the last one found something like 35 minutes of footage that was never in the original film, and it's a totally different film when you see it. So I really recommend that one. I would not see the one that has the Queen music in it that Giorgio Moroder produced. For all historical purposes, he had bought the film and restored it and was ready to release it, and people were like, "You're not going to make any money doing this. You should put rock music in it," which he did, and I think destroyed it. But then they did an orchestral score, and it was great. Intolerance by D.W. Griffith is an amazing film. The Gish Sisters Can't Be Beat and Orphans in the Storm, that's a tearjerker, you know. Way Down East, also Lillian Gish, where she runs over a river of frozen ice, and Richard Barthelmess, again, now in a different role as the hero, has to run over the ice as it's breaking apart, pick her up and run her back to safety. And you cannot stop like leaning forward in your seat when you watch this film. And the cameras are on the actual ice, the actors are on the actual ice, no stunt people, done on a real frozen river that was randomly breaking up in that way. So that's a pretty exciting one too. There's a lot of them. I really love silent films. But that's not even the comedies, you know, besides Chaplin, which is absolutely you have to go to. I think my favorite probably is Buster Keaton and Harry Langdon. You can get a group of his shorts, very hard to see. Otherwise, there's a DVD release of them now. Was quite brilliant.
Harold Lloyd.
Comedy when Harold Lloyd, of course, you know, Laurel and Hardy, forget about it. I mean, there's so many. And then guys that aren't as famous too, like Chester Conklin, and there's some incredible women comedians. There was a really funny short made, Howard, what's his name? Keystone Cops were made at the Max Sennett Studios, and there were 3 fat men there that played the fat cop, and one was Fatty Arbuckle, one was him himself, and also Fatty's best friend, who was one of the directors, Fred Fishback. He also played fat cop. So they had this. They found out that the Echo Park Lake was being drained to clean it, which is a major undertaking. It's a lake, right? So they came up with this story where the bad guys are trying to get away and the good guys are chasing them, and they get to a boat on a lake and they start rowing out over the lake for no reason. And then the good guy turns this big valve and water starts pouring out of this valve, and it cuts back to the lake and it's completely empty. And the boat is stuck in the mud and they can't get out of the boat. And he tries to run up to them and arrest them, and he gets stuck in the mud too. And none of them can move. I mean, it's classic. So, I mean, you can't beat stuff like that, you know. Buster Keaton has the house that falls on him like this, and the window goes right over his head, and it's just, oh, it's like he almost gets killed. And the timing of his films are so magnificent. There's just so many great silent films. Now, there was a thing that Peter Jackson did where he found some original World War I footage that was shot, and he restored it with the correct frame rate and colored it based on color palettes of what the war looked like at that time. Now, it's a hard film to watch because it's brutally realistic, but it's one of the great, I mean, the masterpieces of restoration. He's done that. It was incredible. So you might want to check that one out too. Now, that's a subject I can go on about for a while, but those are like off the top of my head. Nosferatu, The Vampire, Black and White, masterpiece. You know,
Hunchback of Phantom, Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll, yes. Oh yeah, of course. There's a whole Lon Chaney group that's like some of my favorites. You know, Halloween, I go as London After Midnight, Jack the Ripper all the time. It was not even a film you can see. It's just a still image, but it's incredible. There's one other one I was going to just talk about. Oh, if you've seen the movie Witness, at the end of Witness, he pops the corn silo and corn literally drowns one of the characters, okay, the bad guys. So now you go back to Nosferatu, 1917 or something, and they trap a guy in a big cage and they pull a chain and flour dumps on him and drowns him in the flour. So there's where that came from. So many things of what's happening now have come from silent movies. It's pretty amazing. So
what was the name of the film that you were talking about where they drained Echo Park Lake?
Oh, I'd have to research that one.
Oh, sorry.
It was a short, it was a Keystone short. And I don't even remember the stars. It wasn't like Chaplin or something, but it was, you know, it was in those kind of second level actors. Oh God, I wonder if I could find out what that was. I probably could find out what that was. I saw it with a friend who's a super cinema buff, and I bet he could help me remember. He goes, "Oh yeah, it was a Chester Conklin," and he'll tell me the whole thing.
Peter
I mean,
Jackson did an interesting film. It runs about an hour about found footage, and there's a conceit to it that I don't want to tell you about, but it's called Forgotten Silver. And
Oh,
it's an
I don't know
interesting
about that
little
one.
piece.
Okay.
It's tough to find. David, I think that you should mention, since you're mentioning the Witness reference, that, I mean, me personally, I know of maybe 3 people who realized that the step scene in Untouchables actually came from another movie.
Well, the 2 films that made me want to make films were the Battleship Potemkin and Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera. And the Battleship Potemkin has that baby carriage that goes down the steps as the gunfire was happening on either side. So is that homage? Is it stealing? Is it his own technique? Who knows? That's a debate. But yeah, that's right. There's a lot of that. Abel Gonson voted Cinerama. He invented
I think
3D
Christine found it.
Yeah?
A Muddy Romance, 1913.
There you go. And who were the stars?
I don't know. Christine, go ahead. She just put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
And then the question is, what do you do about getting to see something like that?
Yeah.
A lot of it's
YouTube.
On YouTube. A lot of it's available on DVDs. I used to get stuff at Amoeba, but when Amoeba was the old Amoeba, I'm looking forward to the new one, but I love the old one. I would get some extra money from a job, and I would go to Amoeba and just blow $50 on whatever I wanted to get that I never had before, and I would end up with stuff like that there. And once in a while, there's a surrealist filmmaker named Maya Deren, and Maya Deren is a group of films that you can get on DVD now, and they are really strange and very interesting. There's this love scene where there's this house and a road outside, and there's a rose on the ground, and a hand comes up from out of the frame. I can't quite do it right, like this, like the rose is here, and the hand comes in like this, and it comes in and comes in and comes in, and her arm is like 7 feet long. And takes the flower and pulls it up out of the shot. It's just like, wow, and that's how the film starts. It's like, what? So Maya Deren's a good one. But you can get all that stuff on online and Google search it, or just go to eBay. I get almost everything.
A Muddy Romance is on YouTube. It's only 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
Cool.
We find out who's in it yet? Mabel Normand. Yeah. Mabel Normand is one of the great female comedians. That's redundant, but she was one of the great comics of silent cinema. She was big enough to have her own shorts. Even at Keystone Studios, that was a big deal. So Keystone Studios was across the street from Walt Disney Studios in Hyperion, over by, what's that neighborhood called? Hyperion? Somebody's going to help me with that.
Atwater.
Silver Lake, Atwater. There's a certain neighborhood right there. There's a grocery store there that has a plaque on the corner of the grocery store. It was the original location of the Walt Disney Studios, and right across the street from that was Max Sennett Studios, and right down the street from it was Hal Roach Studios. That was really something. I got to meet Hal Roach once.
Is that Elysian Park?
What's that?
Elysian Park?
No, it's close to there though. I got to meet Hal Roach once. He was speaking at the Academy, and somebody said, "Who's the comics that are working now that you would think would be the best comics?" And he said, "Benny Hill." People are still like, "Wow, Benny Hill." He says, "No, if Benny Hill didn't do the blue material, which is sexually oriented material, he would be the top comic right now." And that was pretty amazing. And he said it with real confidence, so I thought that was pretty cool. All right, we should probably move on. We're almost done. We have our wonderful Akira. It's your turn now, Akira. Akira, among many other things, an incredible musician and Space Command volunteer. We still use your gloves with your name on it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, how's it going, everybody?
Good,
yeah.
You?
Yeah, I'm fine. Totally fine. But right now, new lockdown has begun. So tough season again. Anyway, so yeah, as I was introduced by Bert, David, I'm a film composer and living in Toluca Lake, LA. Moved to Los Angeles from Tokyo, Japan, 2017. And I'm teaching Japanese too. And you know, I'm working on some indie movies so far and making some library music album, especially for working on the horror and suspense genre. But I have the no, you know, never say no policy if you like my music, and I really love to work with everybody. That's all about me. That's it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Do you need anything?
Not so far. I'm fine. Thank you.
You would need some work though. If someone offered you
That
could turn
love.
it down, right? You wouldn't say no.
And it's okay. Fine.
Okay, good. Well, that is the first time we've gone this late in a while, and it's probably largely because of my stories. But I hope this was helpful to people. I'm really glad that the new people are here because you can't keep going without increasing numbers from the new people because the old people fall off here and there one way or the other, and that's important. So fresh blood to those who are new. Samantha, Matthew. See anybody else tonight that's new? Carol. Oh, Carol's not new. I'm kidding. Carol's a veteran. And I think that's going to be it. Thanks again. We'll see you next week. Mark and Elaine will be back next week.
Yeah. And thank you to all our viewers on Mr. Sci-Fi.
Absolutely. Thanks for making me Mr. Movie. That was fun.
Thank you,
I got a couple of films to watch. I'll tell you that. I'm going to go straight to YouTube.
So do we because of you, David.
Yeah, good. I'm going to go to YouTube and I'm going to go to eBay. And I'm going to stock up on a couple of these films